Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, our weekly look at tech topics with a Google focus, and then all bets are off. Okay, so joining me from New York is Alan Furstenberg. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, Dan.
And from Menifee, California, Pam Adger. Pam, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. All right, so there was a bear, which is cool, a little tiny one. It's been floating around last couple days. The neighbors said, the bear's outside and freaked out. I said, wow, what was it doing? It said, eating pizza from our trash can. I said, well, maybe if you feed the bear, they will come. Okay, so our first topic tonight is Marshmallow. Android 6.0 M will be called Marshmallow. Is this what are the standout things or anything you want to talk about this, Alan?
Well, I think the most standout thing so far is that all reports that I've heard is that the statue is incredibly cute.
Well,
So let's make sure we understand our priorities here.
is it? I haven't seen an actual statue picture.
Oh man, that's how they announced it.
I saw a logo, which was cute, but I haven't actually seen the photo of the thing. They've actually got the
No,
statue outside.
they announced it by unveiling the statue.
Hmm. Okay. That's the most exciting feature of Android 6.0. Is it going to
No,
continue Google's war on my Nexus 7 tablet?
probably not. It's probably your Nexus 7 tablet probably won't get an update
If
since it's
I
now.
if I do a factory reset on that tablet, is it going to put the newest for that tablet, or is it going to go back to whatever when I bought it?
I don't know. Give it a try. You've got nothing to lose, do you?
No, it's a brick. Google destroyed my perfectly hardware-wise functioning tablet with software that wasn't designed to run on it. So, but there's no hard feelings on my part. And I see there's
No,
less. Go
there are a
ahead.
number of features of Android M that really seem like they're going to be some pretty decent stuff. I haven't played with the preview yet, although I'm now increasingly tempted to load it up on my Nexus 9. Um, but the context sensitive Google Now, whose name I've already forgotten, um, that promises to have some really interesting aspects to it. I think that's the thing that, in terms of the UI, everyone is most looking forward to.
Okay, and by the way, I just want to say we're doing a I'm on Meerkat and Periscope and YouTube Live, and if anyone comments, I'll see it and I'll mention it. You can comment on YouTube, you can comment on Google Plus. Um, you can't comment on Facebook because no one watches us on Facebook. Like 3 people do, but they never comment on Facebook. Um, but I'll I, don't, I think I don't know if someone wants to tell me how to see a comment on Periscope. I don't know. And Matthew's going to come on later. And he wants me to do some blab thing, but I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, I haven't played with it yet. So anyway, okay. So Pam, do you have a device that's going to have M? Are you all excited in a tizzy, or you couldn't care less?
I'm still debating whether I'm going to get the Note 5 or not. Um, I have the Note 3, and I really like it, but the non-replaceable battery is a kind of a,
I'll tell you
you
what
know,
though, if it charges as fast as an iPhone or an iPad, it's not a deal breaker at all, because these things charge. I mean, it'll be 80%. You'll charge it in, and in 15 minutes you're almost full.
yeah, but an $800 phone that I'm obligated to replace in 2 years because the battery doesn't stay charged is, yeah, I don't know.
And also, when they say it's not replaceable, they mean that doesn't mean you can't send it to a guy. You know what I mean? You can still have it
Yeah, it
replaced.
does. It means it's glued into the board.
They can't fix it. I mean, you can't have it sent to a shop and they can do it. I thought you could do that.
No, what Samsung does, what Apple does, what all of them do when you need to replace the battery is they replace the whole device.
And a $200 thing, a fee. Yeah, so I'm on the Sprint thing. Sprint sucks, except where I live. It's the only game in town. So I have a 1 year. Every year I can get a new phone. So I'm leasing it. I'm not buying the phone. If after the year I pay $200, I can keep it. And it'd be stupid This is an iPhone 6, so it'd be stupid not to do that if it's in good shape. I'll just figure out what they're worth used. And then, of course, I have the Note 2. I think so. Pam's got a Note 3. The Note 2 works fine. The Nexus 7 tablet I have doesn't work at all. It's crippled. But one of the things about the Note 5 that's interesting is it will have fewer pre-installed apps, including Google Plus. That will no longer be on there. And I'm not sure what the others are, but that's obviously noteworthy.
Yeah, things like Play Newsstand won't be on there. Play Books won't be on there, to nobody's surprise. There are a couple of others that are, again, they've left the ranks of required and are now optional, and Google Plus is one of those.
Yeah, I'd like to see the pre-installed Samsung bloatware not be installed.
No joke. Even
And
Apple has stuff.
maybe the Verizon bloatware not installed. I'm okay with the Google stuff because technically, well, as I say, I could uninstall it, but I'm absolutely not sure about that because I haven't tried
And Apple does
uninstalling
this
any of the
too.
Google stuff.
Apple does this as well. They pushed out an entire update just to put Beats Music on your phone. Something that I couldn't care less about. I tried that stupid radio station. It was awful. I don't know how you can have a single radio station that will appeal to everybody. It's impossible.
So I found some of the notifications about what's new in Android 4M or in Android M. And some of them we knew about, some of them were new to me, but others probably knew about it. But I think there's something in here that I think everyone will like. So a quick rundown on some of the list. Probably the biggest one are the app permission system is getting a major change. So now it's going to be that you don't need to request all the permissions up front. If there's access to a resource, you can ask for it and people can deny you access to it and you just won't be able to do it. So if you want access to a SIM card or to the to additional memory storage, you can ask for it. If they don't want you to have it, you don't get it and you need to deal with it. So other things, there's more of an association now between apps and websites. So that's pretty cool that in some ways, if they try to go to a website and the app is there, it can launch the app automatically. It can prompt them if they want to install an app. Some nifty stuff. Auto backup is now there. One of the things we've talked about a lot in the past is just how automatic some of the Google apps are when they store data, is just they automatically sync to the cloud. This is now a tool that Android is basically building into every single app. Authentication is getting a major revamp, including fingerprint authentication support. But there's lots more than just fingerprint authentication support coming with this. That's just the most obvious one. I think the one that's most interesting to me is what they're referring to as voice interactions. And it's most interesting to me because I've only been playing with voice interactions on Glass for 2 years now. But this brings them to Android, and I think once applications start taking use of this, I predict we're going to see some really nifty things coming out of it on the Android ecosystem in general. This is something that will work really well in cars. It will work really well with other devices that may be coming.
I could tell you that their ability to discern what you're saying correctly is really gotten good. It's good and it's fast.
It's good, it's fast, and with things like voice interactions, it can make it even easier and better. Because, right now with dictation, it doesn't know what you're saying. With voice interactions, you're basically giving it a set of vocabularies that your application will work with. And some of that can be really good. So I'm looking forward to voice interactions and where those are going to go.
And there's a big push on it because of everyone wants stuff in their car. There's a big race to have your platform adopted for automobiles.
And you know what? I don't know. I have a serious problem with that. You know, Cadeas might be a good driver when he's distracted by his freaking phone, but you know,
Not
anyone who
just for that, though,
commutes.
Pam. I hear you. Not just for that. It could be where's the nearest police station? I'm being followed. Where's the nearest gas station? Oh shit, I'm almost out of gas. It's more than just, you know, there are all sorts of things you can do in your car with some sort of operating system that you would want to be voice activated that you can't really pull over on the I-5 easily in rush hour and you know, call the police if or call an
Well,
ambulance if you're sick. You know what I mean?
no, Pam makes a very important point, and I think Pam's absolutely correct. But one of the problems we've had with interactions with our phone so far, and hopefully Pam hasn't frozen there. It's not clear on my
Nope.
screen. Yeah, okay. Um, is that all too often we're looking at the screen and we feel like we need to punch something in. That's so bad. That's horrible. What I hope is that voice interactions are more like having a conversation with the person in the seat next to you.
Which is
Well,
also distracting.
what I hope is that people don't use them in the grocery store and in the department stores and in restaurants and movie theaters. I mean, look, people already are annoying enough, you know, and having 20 people talking to their device at the same time, it's for someone like me who's easily distracted. Number one, I mean, seriously, if there was a noise right now while I was talking to you, I would totally lose my train of thought, and it's, I don't know, I just, people are rude. The technology is fantastic, but people, it's like having a room full of kindergartners that you have to train them to be polite to people, you know. And I just don't see, I just maybe if common courtesy was a common thing, I'd feel differently.
I know what you're saying. I absolutely agree. Let me touch on. Let me talk about some of these other ones really quickly. The Assist API, I think, is the one that is the interaction with Google now that people are really interested in looking in. That provides the operating system context from your app. There are changes in notifications. There's stuff about Bluetooth in there. 4K display mode, that's an interesting one, and lots of other changes to make for improved audio and video. Updates for cameras, so there's now actually a flashlight API. So, you know, all of those hacks that we've seen in the past are now officially supported with an API. Reprocessing and touch-up APIs, lots of assorted other stuff. I'm looking forward to playing with it. Hopefully I'll have a device that actually can support it.
Okay, so I'm trying to catch up with everything here. I'm trying to look at the different. Okay, so on YouTube, Jeff Stone is watching. What's up, bro? He's the only person in Frederick County who still uses Google Plus. Ricard, can you still disable the Verizon enhancements? He wants to know who uses Verizon.
I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
See, here's my problem with all of the bloatware that we see. I use stuff that's pretty much close to distributed Android as possible. So I've really had very little experience with the bloatware.
Well, I use Verizon, and I can tell you, let me just click my apps real quick while you move on. I have Slacker Radio, NFL Mobile, Verizon Cloud, Samsung Watch On, all these Google things, lots and lots of Google things, HP Print plugin, IMDb Movies and TV, My Verizon Mobile, Samsung Keyboard, Samsung Print Service, Samsung Push Service, Samsung Security, Samsung Watch On Video, TripAdvisor, Verizon Login, Verizon Support, Verizon Tones, Verizon Location Agent, Verizon Navigator. Those are all things I can't get rid of. Every single one of them.
Yeah, that sucks. All right. Okay, so if you have any more questions or comments, please let us know on Meerkat or Periscope or Google Plus or YouTube. And okay, Google Photos for Android. A lot of photo stories, which is Alan's favorite topic. One of the Google Photos for Android. You can reorder. Well, there's some new features, including you can reorder photos in an album. So what's and then we'll talk about the iOS app. But let's talk about the Android app first, Alan.
They actually did 2 announcements of release stuff for Android, and I've already lost track of one of them. So it includes things like you can now reorganize the photos in an album, which is a feature we had on Google Plus for ages and was one of the seriously lacking things when Photos launched. Those are now starting to come back in. They now re-added the ability. See, once again, some of these, it's great to celebrate that we're getting these features, but these were features that we lost when we moved to Google Photos. So we now have the ability to reorder photos in an album again. If your phone supports making movies, and they just removed a bunch of phones from the supported list for no obvious reason. So if your phone supports making movies, you can now trim and adjust the videos a little bit again, but still not as much as you could before. One of the things that you can now do on the Android one is that when an album is shared with you, you can view it in the app as opposed to having to view it on the website or through Google Plus. Which again is kind of why wasn't it there from the first place, but okay, glad to see it finally.
I have a really quick question before you move on to the next little feature. When you say you can reorder things, what happens to photos that you have shared?
Photos that you've shared or albums that you've shared?
Photos within albums that you've shared.
They're still viewable.
So if I move it to another album?
Sorry, to clarify, when I say move around in this case, it's not moving it to a different album, it's changing the order of them within a single album. One of the problems is that under Google Photos, it was only showing them in chronological order.
Okay.
To actually answer your question though, it depends on how you've shared it. If you've shared a photo directly, they'll still be able to see the photo.
While we're
Dan's
waiting.
back.
Well, Dan's microphone is back anyway.
Dan's microphone's a powerful thing.
All right.
I think
we're
Dan's
back.
microphone's been on the show more than Dan.
I guess we're back.
To actually answer, and we appear to be streaming again.
Okay, cool. All right, sorry everybody. I don't know what
Dan's
happened
muted.
there, but the good news is
Dan,
we're
unmute
back.
yourself. Unmute yourself,
Oh.
Dan. Daniel. No. On Hangouts, unmute yourself.
Well, at least I got to watch the Trump rally for a minute. Yeah, I lost my internet, which is weird.
Oh, is that where you'd rather be?
In Mobile, Alabama? No, not really.
Or watching TV?
Okay, so we were
We're
discussing. We're back. Welcome. And Google Photos for Android, also in iOS. You can set album covers and more.
Yep, iOS started picking up some of the features that the Android version already had.
I have the iOS feature. No, I didn't notice any of that.
What, Matt?
Said I have it on iOS. I didn't really go through it all. The only thing that was noticeable right away was the rediscover feature on iOS.
That's an interesting one. You had a question about that, Pam?
What?
Rediscover.
Yeah, I don't have it.
It's not on the Android?
Well, here's the thing. It's not that whether you have it or not, it's that it will suddenly appear. You'll have recommendations in your assistant the same way that auto awesomes get generated. It will randomly remind you of something from the past.
Oh. In
There's no way
iOS,
to turn it on or off. It'll just happen.
that's weird because in iOS you can turn it on or off. So you go into Assist in iOS, and it says, rediscover pictures from your past. Would you like this? Yes or no?
Well, no, that's not turning it on or off. That's just
Oh.
exposing something from the past and letting you do something with it.
But if you say no, doesn't that turn it off? If you say yes, it turns it on?
No, if you say no, it takes away the one that was there. Just like
Oh, it's only one?
it's just like the auto awesome, the what used to be known as auto awesomes.
Right. So hitting yes is like hitting save in a sense?
I guess. I don't know,
So
because that
weird.
hasn't exposed anything for me yet either.
No, I got one today, but they make a collage of some of your highlighted pictures, I guess. That's it. Whereas on the Facebook feature, they show you like every post that was from that day almost, right?
They don't show you every post. They just tend to
A lot
pick
of posts.
selected ones. And yeah, it can do posts because it has access to posts, while Photos only has access to photos. And Google Plus has access to being lame.
Well, there's that. Weird. Is it weird? Well, I guess nothing surprising or weird, but Google Plus probably should have had that big feature a long time ago. Or not, I don't know.
It's an interesting feature, but it's more suited to bringing up memories as opposed to bringing up conversations about stained glass windows.
Yeah, but I mean,
Google
there's
Plus
certain
is supposed to be
events.
enough.
There's certain events like Android Barbecue. There are certain events that happen every year where you want to be reminded of the previous year, right?
No, but Google Plus is going to be about serious discussion, not about frivolous fun things. It's
starting
where you connect with people.
Starting now
Who, well,
or yesterday?
who knows? Starting whenever.
Starting in day 1.
4 years ago, if you ask some people.
Yeah, because Vic never posted pictures of his dog. All right, whatever.
Dan.
Okay, I've lost total control of the program.
Is that what you think?
You lost total control of the program a few years ago, Dan.
You can rediscover photos from the past.
We already did that. Yeah.
Just did that one.
Okay, a new product forum for Google Photos.
Yeah, because Google Plus sucks for actually having conversations about things.
I swear to God, am I the only one who thinks that the new product forum looks like something from the Drudge Report days?
You do realize Drudge Report still exists? Okay, just checking.
I mean, like the 1990s look. Like it looks vintage.
All the forums, the Google Help forums outside of Google Plus look like that.
They look like, mail forums. Nothing new or flashy, that's for sure. Even with a basic material design makeover.
Because that's better for serious conversation. What?
At the very least, it doesn't require a Google Plus account. So if you actually need help on something, you don't have to, be subject to the draconian Google Plus policies.
The help forums don't have their own policies?
Help forums have their own policies that are enforced by, we'll get to that one in a minute, Pam, okay? Because I know you and I both want to go there. Yeah, so the Google Photos is now moving off Google Plus for product support and to the product support forum, which it's interesting. I've tried to get more involved in it, and it's amazing how many times the exact same question gets asked. There are only like 5 questions total on the forum. And they all boil down to, why does Google Photos suck more than Google Plus Photos? Which is a scary thought.
There are a ton of questions that people do ask on the Google Plus post. Do those get ignored mostly?
People ask where?
On like the actual post on Google Plus, there are questions that people ask on those. When there are product announcements, there's like a million questions.
Oh, sure.
Posts.
And they all boil down to, why does Google Photos suck more than Google Plus Photos?
Basically.
Yeah.
Which hasn't gone away yet, has it? They said it was going to go away August 1st. Has it gone away?
Shit, Picasa hasn't gone away.
They're like, oh, we're retiring that as of August 1st. Not.
Well, no, what they said was they're retiring the Android version.
Did they?
Can you launch Google Plus Photos from Android?
I haven't tried.
Neither have I. I got rid of the app and couldn't get it back.
No.
And what does it mean to get rid of Google Plus Photos? That's still barely been answered.
It's still on the web. You can still go back to it on the web. So
What does that mean to go back to it on the web?
it means they take you to Google Photos and you have to hit. Would you like to go back to Google Plus Photos?
But what is that? What does that mean?
It means that Google has no idea.
And yeah, Pam, Picasa Web is still there, and a surprising number of the answers on the Google Photos forum are go to Picasa Web.
Yeah.
It just astounds me.
It works though.
No, it doesn't. But
Oh,
neither
it does.
Google
Well,
Photos. So
well, then again, I haven't tried like moving my stuff around and putting it in folders and.
actually, it's
That's-
shocking how much Picasa Web doesn't work. People will say things like, "Yeah, I tried uploading my photos with Picasa Web and they disappeared."
You know, and they don't support it anymore either, from what I understand. So I don't think I have that on my phone anymore, Picasa.
You know, when Photos first launched, I was talking about it with some Googlers, and all of them commented how good it was that they were able to get away from Picasa Web, from Picasa and Picasa Web. And here we are now more dependent on it than before. Yeah. That said, we still extend a warm hand to Anil, head of the Google Photos team. So if he ever wants to join this show, we are more than happy to have him on and we can talk about this wonderful product of his. And congratulations to the team on these new updates.
Yes.
Also, it sounds like we kind of learned that it sounds like the iOS app doesn't have that many developers on it, so I don't know how many developers actually working on some of these things. You said one person.
You know, let's talk about iOS app development. You notice how Collections has been out for how many months?
Mm-hmm.
And the iOS app still doesn't support them?
Exactly. Which means they didn't really care that much about Collections, because if they cared, they would have had it out on iOS.
It means a lot of things. Anyway, the other one that we paired with this story was also about product support, that Google has now extended product support to Twitter. So they're using Conversocial to help people who want to help out find tweets on various Google products. I know Dan tried this because he messaged me with some really exciting tweets that he found. Have either of you two used this any?
Not yet.
Yeah, I tried. A bigger disaster than trying to do product support on Google Plus is the only thing that comes to mind. It was a disaster.
I tried. I got one. A girl wanted to know if to change a custom thumbnail, do you have to be verified? And I said, yeah, it has to be verified, or something, you know. But it's not hard to do or whatever. And then I directed her to the thing. I was testing it out, and then she said, you know, thanks or whatever. But some of these are apparently it's a search thing. I'm going to do a screen share here. I guess it's not a Google thing. It's called conversocial.com, crowds.conversocial.com. Then you log in, and then it knew. I don't know how it knew who I was, and it knew that I was here for Google stuff. So maybe it is a Google thing. I don't know. But I said what?
How do you spell it? Because I know Mike Downs mentioned it to me, but I never looked at it.
Conversocial.com.
Is it owned by Google or it's a third party?
I think it's a third party, but I don't know.
It's a third party.
But it, I mean, how did it know that I was? I don't know. But anyway, so one of these here, apparently it's doing a search in Google or in Twitter for anything. Like I said, I could maybe help with Gmail and YouTube. I don't even think Google Plus was an option. But here's one.
Google Plus wasn't an option. I signed up for photos and something else.
Like
and
here's
the results
one
that we're getting were horrible.
Here's one directed at. Here's a tweet to Filthy Frank. Frank, you are effed in the head. Frank, you need help, but you can make a good YouTube vid. I don't think that's an actual tech support question. Google now has finally figured out that women's soccer is a thing and is showing me fixtures, but Google search is still down thumb. Yeah, I don't think any chance of
So
Google now. I don't know what's going on here.
So they're showing people's Twitter or tweets in search, but they're also answering questions from Twitter.
Okay, so
on
what
search?
it is, it shows you any tweet. I think it's showing you any tweet where someone mentions any of the topics that you said you might be able to offer help on. Like if you said, I'm good at Gmail or I'm good at YouTube, right?
But where did you say that on?
When you first log in with Twitter on this thing,
Mm-hmm.
on conversocial.com.
This Conversocial says it's cost. Oh, is it Convo or ER?
Conver, like conversation, but conversocial.
Okay.
If you go
because
to the
it's saying
link that
there's
I post for this topic, at the bottom there's a short URL to this. That's how I found it. It's right in the thing there. So here's an example. I think 8chan is off the Google search results again. Can anyone else confirm? Trying to edit a YouTube vid and it's not working. Okay, that's not very helpful. Email's already moved. It's Google search console account. I can't integrate. Okay, so this one where you are F, but you can make a good one. That clearly is not a question. So I can click over here on the circle, and it should have a little pop-up saying this, but you click on it, and it marks it as it's removed as not a question. And apparently anybody can do this, so I guess you could troll it if you wanted to. You can search for just unanswered things, and then it refreshes. My YouTube audience is 96% male, not quite sure how to interpret this. So asks Berkeley. But that's, yeah, so yeah, it's kind of a fail, I guess. But like if you spend lots and lots of time, you can accomplish Google's mission of providing free tech support user to user for Google.
Is it only for Google?
Apparently. I mean, I didn't see anything like help someone with QuickBooks or, you know.
Because I remember
understand what's going
suggesting
on.
about using Google Plus and Google Search like this, but for everything, so people would use Google Plus more. But
I don't think that's a priority for them right now.
no, but I'm saying when it might have been a priority, I suggested it.
Back a couple years ago, a couple heads ago. All right, so next is where are we? Google officially expands Twitter into desktop search results. The last time this happened, it was real time, right? You were doing a search for something. Let's say a plane crashes, and you're just hearing a little bit about it, and you're curious because maybe you know somebody or maybe just a news freak. You could say real time, and it would show you. Basically, it was just a Twitter pipe. That's what they called it. It would show you, as the tweets are done from anywhere, it would show you them right in Google. So it was similar to doing a search for all tweets on Twitter, but you could get it on Google. And then they couldn't agree. Twitter wanted X amount of dollars from Google to continue that, and Google did not agree. And so they stopped the feature, and then Twitter was mad. And Google's like, okay, sorry, bye. And now they're in bed together. And there's still these rumors that Google is going to buy Twitter, and persistent chatter that they should buy Twitter. I think, Matthew, you're a big proponent of that. So
Yep.
they're some sort of, I haven't even looked at it, but apparently if you tweet something, it could show up in Google. So they're taking, didn't they take that away from, is Google Plus posting still showing up at Google? They took something away. I think
What are
it
you
is.
talking about?
There was something where it was author or something, maybe it was author.
Authored search is gone, but regular posts on Google Plus are still there.
Randomly they'll show up for someone, or only if you're
They'll show up
connected.
as part of a valid search result, yeah.
So if you did a thing, a review of the new Bill O'Reilly book, Killing Rappaport, and someone just
Search
searched for that, it would
I'd like
show
to
up
buy
even
that.
if they're not a friend of yours on Google Plus.
Well, that was always true, but Search
Okay.
plus Your World is still very
Valid.
valid. It's still there.
Okay.
Are you shocked that it's still there, Alan?
Not really. That was actually a good feature. Well, I guess by that token, yes, I guess I am shocked that it's still there.
Yeah, shocked that it's still there. Yeah, it is a good feature, but based on everything it's still Google Plus.
I would
centric,
90% say that if they could include Facebook posts in that, they would.
isn't it? Never.
I bet they would. I'm
But
sure
they'd never get
Zuckerberg
access
is the
to that.
reason.
Although I will say I found it interesting on the Google Photos app. They mentioned the Google Photos app update on iOS, they mentioned Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram in the description. Isn't that weird? Okay, maybe not.
Wait, say that again.
On my iOS Google Photos upgrade, in the description of the upgraded features, it mentioned you could do things to enhance your Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram using the new features.
Yeah, I saw that, and it sounds like it's more that they can directly upload to those instead of just providing a link to them.
But it's interesting that they would mention those three, or not really?
Those are probably, without knowing exactly how iOS does things, it probably means that they needed to put in specific support for them. On Android, it's trivial to do. It's actually almost there already. On iOS, it's a lot more difficult just because of the way that inter-app integration works.
Interesting.
Okay.
Without knowing exactly how iOS does it.
I don't know what's going on there. I guess someone's checking the stream. Appears to be working. All right, next is Google
We got
Lights.
some comments. We've got a bunch of comments, Dan.
Okay, go ahead. Let's do that. I'll check YouTube first, and they're not there. Cadeas has a couple. What's broken with Google
Yeah,
Plus
are you
Photos?
guys-
What do you
Are
mean
you
they're not
guys-
there
wait,
in
wait, wait,
the
wait.
comments?
Are you guys checking the YouTube comments?
Yeah,
I see
was.
3.
In fact, I've been replying to some.
I see Jeff Stoner and Alan, and then Ricard. That's all I've got on my interface on the YouTube. So maybe I'm missing something.
Maybe you should refresh since your connection lost.
Well, we're streaming though. If I refresh, will I interrupt that?
I've got no idea. Anyway, I've got a bunch of comments, so I guess I'll read them. Wendell, Rediscover is supposed to be something that is off by default. You're supposed to be able to opt in. That opt-in setting is yet to appear on my Google Photos app settings. That could be Wendell. My understanding, though, is that it would be showing you these stories and that you had to opt in to do something with them, the same way you opt in to doing something with an Auto Awesome. Now, I may have misunderstood this wrong, or it may be that, here, wait for this shocker, it may be that Google can't communicate what the fuck their products do.
Part of me thinks on the iOS you actually could say yes or no, and then I got the picture, but maybe I'm mistaken.
From Lori, regarding Dan talking about how ghetto-looking forums are, as long as they can answer a user's question correctly, plain is fine for the forums. That almost sounds like it's begging Pam to answer. Seaman, I guess in talking about Conversocial, says that it's supported by Google. Conversocial is fully supported by Google, and some of the TCs are posting in it. Yeah, there's supported by and there's owned by. Supported, this is clearly a Google-sponsored effort, and I think that's one of the things that we do want to point out. TC's posting in it, that also sounds like it's begging for Pam to respond to.
Is that why it looks like shit?
He does comment later, tweet with the hashtag #GHelp for Conversocial. Look, here's the thing.
Who's going to do any of that?
Is picking up stuff beyond what's tagged #GHelp. It's trying to be smart, and it's looking really, really stupid. If you do a search for #GHelp on Twitter, all kinds of hashtag hijacking. That was from Lori. And yes, that is the brilliance of Twitter hashtags, is what the fuck's the point, because nobody uses a hashtag for its purpose anyway.
Yeah, I have to admit that. In fact, I like to create how do I put this? I like to troll people with the hashtags. So sorry,
Yeah?
I'm admitting it.
Some other comments from Wendell. Under the settings for assistant cards, I would expect to see a toggle for the rediscover feature, just as there is an option for new creations. I see no such option. Okay, that's an interesting point. I'm not sure I ever saw a toggle for new creations. So I'm going into assistant. And no, let's go into settings.
No, I don't see it.
Yeah, I do see a toggle there for new creations. I didn't know that one existed before, so perhaps you're right. I could sit corrected. From Ricard, wasn't Google Plus supposed to be a great place for photographers, and then they take away the Google Plus photos? Well, yes, because you need to understand that Google Plus is really all about discovering people with common interests and what was the subject again?
Wait, what is Google Plus?
And then some schmuck named Matthew Rappaport says hi. So I think that's our...
Yay. You called me a schmuck. I feel so honored.
I don't call everyone a schmuck, Matthew.
Yeah.
Isn't that some sort of Jewish insult?
Really, Dan? Really? Jewish insult? Isn't that some kind of Christian insult? Like, it sounds ridiculous.
Over on Google Plus comment stream, Kadeus is asking me, what's broken with Google Photos?
Missing features.
What's broken? No, it's not even just the missing features, even though that's part of what's broken with Google Photos. It's the fact that right now, I mean, if you sit on the help forum for 10 minutes, you will get a smattering of what is wrong, what is broken, what is horribly broken about Google Photos. It includes things like people saying, hey, I'm set at high quality instead of original, and yet it's telling me I've taken up 15 gig of my space. Why is that? Then in order to figure out what is taking up that 15 gig is, roughly a 10-step process, ranging from things like check your drive, check Picasa, check your trash and photos, check your trash in Picasa and drive, then go to Picasa and see if you were sharing any photos in Hangouts, because those photos are always saved at original quality, whether or not, whatever your settings are. Oh, and did you upload them using the Picasa uploader or the Google Plus uploader or the Google uploader, Google Photos uploader? Because those are two different mechanisms. And the files may show up under different sizes in each case. I'm sure somewhere there is an engineer to whom this makes sense. Clearly that engineer is not actually using the fucking product.
You just summed up everything wrong with almost every social product they've made.
I mean, this is fundamentally the problem with Google Photos. It's not designed for anyone. I can't figure out who is expected to actually use this thing because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't hold together.
And surprisingly enough, every article that comes out is praising it like it's the best thing that Google's ever made, almost.
Well, that's because the aspects of it that they focus on are some really kick-ass aspects, namely search. Search is a brilliant aspect of photos. I have never, the only question we see consistently about search boils down to, hey, why does it think that these two people, that this person is actually two different people, and how do I merge them? And the answer is you can't.
Yeah, that was always annoying when you go to tag photos and they show you like, especially like, let's say we had a hurl and there's like 1 million people in that photo and they recognize it's like Michael, what's his face? Whatever, some guy 3 times. You're like, I don't want to tag him 3 different times.
Right.
I know, it's first world problems.
And it's worse in this case because it shows up twice and there's no way to say, no, these are the same person, really. You also get questions like, hey, I started uploading with original quality and now I changed my mind. How do I switch? And the answer is you download all your files, delete, and then re-upload all your files.
Well, come on, seriously, they're uploading at a certain quality. It's not like they can just switch it after it's uploaded, right? You've already told them to upload it. It's already saved a certain quality. So it can't just go back out and get it again and upload it.
But here's the thing, it can downgrade it.
Mm-hmm.
It can if they gave me a freaking API, which is my complaint, if they gave me the API, I could write the program to do that for you. But telling somebody the 2,000 photos that you uploaded painfully over 3 days because it rejects them after you upload a couple hundred. Okay? You now need to download them all again and then delete them and re-upload them.
Jesus Christ.
And then someone will say things like, hey, only some of them uploaded at the quality. How do I tell what quality it uploaded at? And the answer is you can't.
That is a
How
problem.
can I tell which ones are taking up disk space? You can't.
You can't. That's a problem.
Okay.
The answer for just about every question on the Google Photos product forum is you can't.
Okay, so it appears that while Google Photos should be sent back to Google X Labs, one of their
Don't you just mean X Labs?
is it Alphabet X?
Alphabet, one of those. Definitely not Google anymore, though, right?
Who knows?
So Google's life science team is graduating. That's like graduating. That means like it's such a positive spin. Like when people would upgrade to Google Plus, they said you're upgrading.
Well, no. In terms of Google X, the term is graduating. They hold a graduation ceremony.
Really?
Really?
Okay, so they're graduating. Their life science team. Most folks are familiar with the thing that I guess their biggest viral thing that I'm aware of is the contact lenses that have sensors in there, and they said that they could, by measuring, I guess, the saline in your eye, they could detect, I forget what, but all kinds of things.
By measuring the something in your eye, they can detect something.
I said saline.
And this is intended as a glucose monitor. So it's for people with diabetes is the intent of this, or the intent of that specific one. There's been talk about how to apply this technology to other monitoring. What else can they detect in tears and in fluids in your eyeball? And how can they process this?
I didn't realize you could
the team's
test
also been
glucose
doing a
from that.
remarkable number of other things in terms of health science and life science. And now the team is graduating into its own company.
I didn't realize you could test glucose levels in tears.
Now you did.
Who knew? I wasn't as
Well,
up on life science
people
news.
obviously knew this. The problem is it was not an easy thing to detect. It's also, up until recently, probably was not considered very reliable. So one of the things that they've had to do is test and validate its reliability. And if this is ever going to go on the market, and presumably it's going to, they've needed to do some fairly significant amount of testing to convince the FDA that this is a valid medical device.
Okay.
This is actually a case where spinning it off into its own company does some really interesting things. It means that this company now is directly affected by the FDA. This company needs to work directly with the FDA on a number of things. And that has some major regulatory restrictions. So it means that Google as a whole now doesn't need to be regulated as a medical device manufacturer. This is a really good thing for whatever this company is going to be called.
And another reason why Alphabet exists.
And another reason why Alphabet exists. Or at least another reason why it shouldn't be part of Google.
Okay.
Before you move on, where does actual Glass is part of a company, or it's not, or it's its own company? No.
Whereas Google Glass, I mean, last we heard, it's Glass is reporting to Tony Fadell.
So he's doing Nest though.
And he's also in charge of Nest. It is they have not officially announced what is going on. They said that Nest will be its own company.
But does Glass fall?
They haven't announced the details of it yet.
I read somewhere that Google Glass was initially funded by third parties, not from Google, or at least partially.
Google owns it. Google owns Glass either way.
Donald Trump, quote unquote, owns buildings, but China owns them, right?
Why do you have to bring Donald Trump into every conversation?
I'm not. I'm saying that. I mean, just because Dollywood. I don't know if Dolly Parton actually owns all of Dollywood. There's investors. I think there were investors in Glass. I read that. I don't know if it's. I hadn't seen it since. So I don't know if that's accurate or not. That's what I'm
It
asking.
came
I
out of
guess.
the Google X project. I mean, it was part of the Google X team, and it graduated.
Okay.
But do you think it's possible Glass will fall under Nest because of where he is, or no?
I don't know. I don't have any insight on this one yet.
Okay.
It certainly, if you think of Nest as a consumer products division, it makes sense that Glass would fall under them. It also raises questions of, the products that are being done for Internet of Things type things. Where are those going to land?
Mm-hmm.
The questions, we don't know yet.
It would make sense for him to have that whole company instead of it just being Nest.
Right. And there's lots of, if you think about it, Google itself does not manufacture much hardware. Most of what it does manufacture is now under Nest, and that's being spun off. So that kind of answers some of the question, I think, or at least suggests what the answer might be.
And so you think that some companies can have divisions, some of the alphabet companies can have their own divisions then?
In what sense?
That Nest could be like, we're Nest and we have a Glass team and we have this team and we have...
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Right.
I mean, Google's got a cloud team and an Android team, and
Right.
I'm sure the life sciences company will have multiple branches, right? The contact lens being one of them, if that becomes a product. We'll see. Anything else on this? We're going to lose Alan in 38 minutes, so I'm trying to move along. Okay, we'll look at comments in just a moment. Hangouts get a dedicated website. Is this news?
Finally said nobody.
Is this news? Have you been playing with this, Matthew?
Playing with it. It's a page that looks like our G Plus, except instead of seeing posts, I see a picture.
I got to tell you, the picture is the most bizarre thing about this.
It's so random. It's like Google Chromecast wall.
It's not so random. It makes sense in the context of the fact that you have to remember the Hangout team is located physically near the Chrome team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how much of that team was working on Chromecast. It's also physically located near the Bing developers. So I don't know, how much did they steal
I swear
from
to
Bing?
God, yeah, it does look like Bing for sure.
The only thing I could think of is, why would they? The only reason, do you think that they're going to do? They have to do more with this page. Otherwise, what was the point of doing that? I mean, like if they want to put.
I can tell you exactly
broadcast-
why it would appeal to me, although I've never used it except just now and when they first heard about it. It would appeal to me because Google Plus is so bloated that on the not rare but fairly frequent occasion that the Hangout thing on the bottom of my screen is screwed up or doesn't load, and so I can't get the Hangouts that way, and I don't want to do it on my shitty mobile devices. I don't want to have to load Google Plus if I don't already have it open in a tab because it takes forever for Google Plus to load. It's quicker to go to this, so I can get to a Hangout on desktop without having to load the bloated Google Plus UI.
Yeah, I think the big point there. I think there are two major reasons for this. One is to more clearly distinguish Hangouts as a separate product from either Google Plus or Gmail, which it was tied to before.
Do you think
This
that
is
it's going to be
kind of saying,
gone
look,
from those?
What, Dan?
Do
No,
you think
never.
it's going to be gone from Google Plus and Gmail?
Never.
No. I mean, why? I don't think they're going to bother to take it out of Google Plus.
Wouldn't it make Google Plus less bloated?
Started there, but in giving it its own page, I think it now also means that they're now able to give it more capabilities that they couldn't do in the narrow strip of notifications before. So, this might be a good place for them to eventually place public Hangout discovery. This might be a good place for them to start putting more rich and integrated chat systems. I don't know that that's what they're doing, but this now at least gives them a place to do that.
But you're right. It sounds like for now, the person that's going to get the most use out of this is someone that doesn't want to load Google Plus.
Not just Google Plus, for that
Or
doesn't
Gmail.
want to load Gmail either.
Right.
I mean, this is definitely a place where businesses can now go and say, here's how we're launching it.
This is almost like their version of Skype having this page.
Basically, yeah.
And it's nice and functional and fast, which is more than you can say with having to load Google Plus to get to them. So, okay. So also we were told you should verify your phone number to get some features in Hangouts. What's that about? Does anyone remember? Coming soon. By the way, folks, we're here every Friday at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on Google Plus and YouTube Live, and Meerkat until my expensive internet conks out.
It says friends can contact you in Hangouts by only knowing your phone number on all their platforms if you verify it.
Yeah. This is
So
basically an attack against WhatsApp. One of the big features of WhatsApp is that Pam, if you're talking to us, you're muted. One of the big features of WhatsApp is that you didn't need to know your friend's handle. You didn't need to know anything. You just needed to know their phone number, which presumably you already knew. This is now adding that as well. So if your friend knows your phone number and they can get that through any one of a bunch of other contact systems, they can now message you if you want them to. Go ahead, Pam.
I said maybe 5 people in my entire contacts knows my phone number.
Yeah, but you're not a teenager.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. So I don't want your ass calling me. Text me. Oh, yeah, shit. You need my phone number to do that, too.
That's the point. Is they're trying to really say that, look, hey, with Hangouts, you can text without having to text. It's WhatsApp.
Because nobody's using Snapchat.
Sorry, Matt. What?
Said because no teenagers using Snapchat for that.
That's grown a lot. Used to
I don't
just
know
be
what,
the
Dan,
go-to.
are you trying to troll us right now, Dan? Because it's
No.
not funny.
No. I mean, I see a kid and his friends use it a lot, and it's not just sexting. I mean, of course, they wouldn't tell me if they were using it for that, but there's lots of content and different things on there.
They just added Mashable and Vox to Snapchat Discovery.
I think that Vice News is, according to
It's
Vice,
already on there.
very popular.
But they actually took 2 down. I don't remember which ones.
The other thing to point out that that verifying your phone number does is it also associates your phone number with your name, so that if you're using the dialer and dialing out, people will see your name if you call in, not just call from this number. So it's trying to duplicate features that are available through the cellular system that you're now doing through Hangouts instead.
I've got a neighbor who's got something where she doesn't have cell service. She has Wi-Fi. And so she wants to make calls, and the way she makes phone calls and sends texts is she has to watch videos and read things and do tasks to gain points, and then she can use those points to make a phone call or a text. It's the craziest thing. And I told her about Hangouts, and I just got a blank stare. And so I'm going to try to set it up, but it's so kludgy. You got to get a Google Voice number and blah, blah, blah. And I'll see how easy it is compared to before. One thing I just saw on Twitter, it's not on our list here, but I'll just share it. It's Comcast releases its live streaming app to all subscribers. Says it's live streaming. Huh?
Didn't we cover that last week?
Yeah, but they didn't release. This is the app of that.
Oh, okay.
I think we talked about they're doing some. No, they were talking about some mini YouTube, some mini YouTube type thing. But Comcast says this live streaming app did very well during its limited release. The company's making it available to all Xfinity customers. It's called Xfinity Share. You can broadcast video streams, photos, even previously recorded videos, not just on your own TV, but on other subscribers' TVs. It lets you share from mobile to mobile, though if that's more convenient. Xfinity Share used to be exclusive to Triple Play package customers. Now it can be accessed by every voice, video, home, and internet subscriber. Recipient still needs to have X1 DVR ready set-top box to see what you're trying, blah, 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 blah. You can grab the app from iTunes or Google Play. It's called Xfinity
Okay.
Share. So there.
Hey, so the thing we were just talking about before Dan did that real quick, there was a thing where when you search somebody's name in Google, it brings up, if you were connected with them, it brought up their name and contact. And I believe, didn't it say you can call them directly from the Google search box, or to show their phone number if they listed it? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I'll check
That one?
Pam real quick. I won't screen share it, but I'll check.
Yeah, because I remember that feature coming out. So that's why I'm thinking this whole verify your phone number thing.
Yeah,
Because I'm guessing
if I pull
Hangouts
up,
probably asked.
if I Google Pam,
Uh-huh.
it shows me. I'm not going to screen share this, but it says Pam Adger. It says only you can see this result. I got her in circles. It says what she does. I've got her Gmail address and her phone number on my screen,
There you go.
right in Google. Pam, you probably would get the same from me because I know
So
you have
she's
my
already verified.
She's
in
got
some
my
sense.
private
Well-
phone number in my Gmail. If you just Google Dan
Well, I was just
McDermott,
saying-
and you'll get it on the right.
I mean, I gave that to you.
Right. But see,
Yeah.
it's using my contacts and just putting that information, kind of like a desktop card, if you will.
Yeah, but
Oh.
remember, that was done in the Google Plus days, and under disintegration, you're not going to get that in the future.
You think that's going away, but it's part of Search Plus Your World, or it's not?
It's not part of Search Plus Your World. It was part of Google Plus Contacts.
I thought it was more a Google
Wait.
contact thing. It's more like what you'd get on an Android phone. I mean, I don't have a
No, it's
Google.
Google Plus Contacts because it was permissioned.
Where are you seeing my contact information?
If you just go to google.com and type my name in, on the right, you should see my picture, what circles
Only if you
got
have
me
the
in.
personalized search results clicked, I think.
Yeah, I don't have your phone number, but I do have your main email.
Okay. Because I know you have
I
my
have your
number.
phone
We've
number on my
talked-
phone.
You
I
must
have your
not have
phone
saved me.
No, I have your phone number on my phone.
She's
Yeah,
probably-
under
she's probably
contacts.
lying.
But
No, I'm just kidding.
Do you think anybody
would you like me
actually
to read
uses
it?
this?
Would you like me to read it on air?
No.
So,
Definitely
so
not.
Dan, do we have any comments on Meerkat or Periscope?
I stopped them. I haven't restarted them when
What? You stopped
I
them?
lost my internet. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so we do have a bunch more comments on YouTube. People are chatty there tonight, which we always
Yeah,
appreciate.
please read them because they disappear after the show.
Yeah, Lori says, talking about Google Photos, they put great curtains on the house, but once you walk in the front door, you fall through a trap door into a maze. That's the issue. The saying you can't get there from here fits. It's a great idea, but poorly executed. I had high hopes for photos. I agree, Lori. I mean, I think someday, maybe, photos will be the awesome product that we expect it to be. But that will probably be after another rewrite in 2 years. Wendell is still educating me regarding the Rediscover This Day feature. Thank you, Wendell. Putting the router under Nest would have made sense. This is from Ricard. And this is actually a subject that I think we accidentally omitted, and that's that Google has announced a router.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So did I. I was too busy actually reading up about it to include it in my list. And now it's apparently sold out through Google. So you can't even get it on the day that it launches. I don't know. Matthew, would you pay $200 for this router?
I don't need a router. No, $200 seems kind of high, doesn't it?
It's not cheap, but Dan, I know you just bought a new router.
I've
How
got
much
a
did you
better
pay?
router than that. I got the one you told me, but I got a higher end version.
How much did you pay?
I want to say $250. I got a Linksys WRT 1900 AC.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this one blows it out of the water. Sorry, Dan.
Well, not
Actually, I'm not sure this one blows it out of the water because it's wireless only. It's a wireless router only. It does not appear to have any cable connections.
This is what I have, and also this one is available, and the Google one is not. So the Linksys beats it on that.
I've had that before, but if you have your internet provider doesn't give you a
Oh
router.
God, the one you get from your internet provider is a piece of crap.
Not mine, not the Comcast business
I don't know. The
one.
one they Fios gave me a really nice one. Works fine.
My Files one is a piece of shit.
All right.
You don't
they
get
are
that with
shit.
the business doesn't have that. The business one doesn't have that. The business one has 4 Ethernet ports on the back, which is cool, instead of just one. but I was having issues, and this one is amazing. I mean, this one is absolutely phenomenal. And I looked, and they said there's different ones. There's 1900 and there's higher numbers, but they said that the Consumer Report said this was the best bang for your buck, this frequency. That the others, they're significantly more expensive for not so much gain. That this was the way to go, and it was like I think 250, I forget. But
Yeah, so let's talk about that one versus the one from Google.
okay.
The one from Google, aside from the fact that it's 200, has twice as many antennas as that one does. Has
This
some
one has
antennas
4.
that are
That has 8.
yeah, it's got 8 antennas.
But they're stuck in some round thing. This one I can move or whatever. Does it matter? Serious
They're
question.
stuck
That's a serious
in-
question. They're in some barrel, right?
This one, well, yeah, but that means that they're more correctly tuned. I mean, they're better positioned to actually radiate out. It's 8 arranged in a circle.
You think they use the leftover Nexus Q chassis for this little project?
No, because actually, what it looks more like is that they went and stole, a bunch of Amazon Echoes and are cramming this in there.
Nice.
Maybe they can trot out the Microsoft babies to advertise it.
How much better is my Wi-Fi going to be in my house and surrounding area with the Google router?
That's kind of what I'm curious. I'm almost tempted to get one. Not quite tempted enough to pre-order it before it's sold out, but I'm almost tempted to get one for a couple of reasons. The first is that it appears to have features in it that I don't understand why they're in a router. Why does a router need a speaker?
For the Nexus Q2 that's coming out next year?
If it's got Chromecast support, that's not actually out of the question. It doesn't say that it has a microphone, but what if it does have a microphone? You now have an Amazon Echo competitor.
Oh, they'd have to disclose that, wouldn't they? People like Pam, or can you imagine M. Monica if she bought one of these and discovered that there was a microphone in there that they
Wait,
didn't
does
disclose?
M. Monica still exist?
Yeah.
I
Um,
just
I
haven't
think
talked
she's
to
still
but why does it?
boycotting.
Why does it have a speaker? It's also got Weave support, which is remarkable because Weave isn't public yet.
Remember, Matthew, when they were debuting the Nexus Q and they did the little skit on the stage and everyone was
Yes.
going to throw their videos or whatever?
I also remember them jumping out of planes, but that's another story.
Yeah, the jumping out of plane part was cool. George Cozy says on Google Plus, he comments, here's the thing. The narrative of Google as the young, dynamic, student, geeky, idealistic, do no evil company is dead. The Goog is a gigantic corporation, a conglomerate, with all of the stuff that implies.
I don't think so, and I think that's also part of the reason why they've got Alphabet now. To leave Google as the hip, trendy, not quite a startup thing, and to have the adults playing in Alphabet. It's actually interesting. A friend of mine, I've got a number of friends who work for Google, who were friends of mine before I became this thing with Google that I am.
This thing
One of
that
them-
you are?
Whatever I am. One of them posted today talking about how great it was to work at Google, and it boiled down to, these aren't people who read a book on how to answer Google interview questions. These are people who are, who think that way. There are some really, really talented people in Google still.
Allen
They're
was
not
doing
reflected in some of their front end people or their advertising team, but
And then there's Moritz. What is it?
Pam Allen was doing his impersonation of Ross Perot's running mate. Who am I and why am I here? Go ahead,
that's what
Pam.
I heard on my hearing aid. What,
No,
Dan?
I just say this.
Pam was going to say
Quit trolling
something.
each other. No, I was going to say something because it was a really good segue to my TC post. Ellen's comment about
Tell us about your TV post, Pam.
Tell us what a TC is, top contributor.
top contributor. So somebody shared a post the other day about one of the TCs getting a some sort of accolade or promotion or some kind of something or other, and I had been thinking about it for a long time because, you know, I was part of the Google Plus help community for a couple of years, and I'm still part of the Google Plus helper community, which I think one of the TCs actually runs that. And so I've interacted with Google Plus. Let me clarify that. Google Plus top contributors over the years, and reading a lot of the comments and all this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm moving really slow. I've been unhappy with the ability to get a hold of Google. If you have a real problem, and I've had real problems, you know, I've had people steal my pictures and then use them for memes. I've had people create communities for harassing me because they invite me to them. I've had, you know, this one Middle Eastern guy actually gave me a death threat because I posted some pun with this guy wearing loaves of bread, and I insulted his God by, because you're not supposed to, putting food on your feet is the ultimate insult or whatever. I don't know.
That's a big deal in Japan too.
Yeah. And I didn't know, number one, but you know, whatever.
Man, you need to brush up on these 200 different countries and their idiosyncrasies and idiomatic nuances.
I guess. And you know, and you know, I just, people have real problems and with their accounts and with their, even, you know, their business pages and being able to merge stuff and just a whole host of problems, not just me. You know, like I said, I see these questions and the responses are never responsive. You know what I mean? It goes to a certain point and then it's like, well, send feedback.
Well, okay, but is this a Google thing or is this a tech industry in general thing? Now, granted, Google stuff is more complicated.
Wait, just a second. I mean, that was brought up, but I don't care about Microsoft right now. I cared about Google, and I made this post, and I said that Google needs to up their game with customer service. Their TC program needs an overhaul. They need to improve customer service. That should be a priority for a company like Google, and they should have some sort of continuous improvement program when it comes to customer service. Well, a lot of the top contributors, my post got shared in their little private community, and there was discussion about it, and people from outside of Google Plus, but who are in forums and stuff like that, came and commented, and you know, some of them weren't very happy with my criticism, and they took it personally. You know, I explained 1,000 times in the comments that it wasn't against them, because I don't know them. It was against Google and how they manage customer service. And, you know, I really think they can do better. And they don't. If they suspend your account, you get this little letter. It doesn't tell you, doesn't give you recourse. It doesn't, I mean, it's archaic.
You basically need to know someone.
You know?
Yeah, that infuriates me. And that's an argument not to use any of these platforms. But then how do you? But you won't get on the reach.
YouTube. It's like your problem with YouTube, and you have a paid account, and you still, you know, some guy's giving you, like, what do they call that, check marks or whatever. And there's no recourse, and TCs are not a good substitute for customer service. Are they a good frontline use of customer service? Yeah, absolutely. You know, people want to help and all this stuff. I mean, you know, I'm not even going to get into personalities, but you know.
I won't say they're a good. I think they are acceptable. It's certainly understandable that in a free product that you've got volunteers who are the first line of helping you out. The problem
Alan, I
is,
got to disagree because that's not. All of us know people. All of us, if any of us got seriously screwed, if my YouTube channel got shut down, we any of the four of us could get a hold of top people at Google and get someone to fix it or look at it, right? And so,
well, no,
but it is a serious issue.
no. I mean, Dan, as I think we've both seen, I mean, I can think of at least one example recently. Just knowing somebody in position at Google does not get you that help.
It, but for the average user who's just using this stuff to say like, oh, well, it's a free service, they encourage you to post all this stuff, and then sometimes by mistake or because someone's trolling you, they shut down years of work that they've encouraged you to do, and you could be a total victim, and there is no way for you to get to someone and say, hey, I have an edge case, I need an
Right?
adult.
No,
This is not
Dan,
in the manual. So it's
But
go ahead, Alan.
Yeah.
but he said it was a good first line. It is a good first line. It's just that there's no back line. It's like a football team with no defense. You know, I
Right.
mean, there's just no.
You know, every so often you'll see a TC say something like, I've escalated the problem. The problem is you've got now no visibility into their escalation, who they've escalated it to. You'll never hear anything. You know, if there is a next level of support, nobody's ever seen it.
And
while
it's an
this is all
arrogance.
again,
It's an
well,
arrogance, and it's a concession to the fact that if you're going to, what Alan said, that if you're going to give something away for free on massive scale, that there's a price to be paid. And I mean, people have been kicked off of all the things. And
Yeah,
this is
but
an argument to have your own domain. We were discussing with some friends about vanity URLs and things, and there's no substitute for me being able to say danmcdermott.net, and it redirects wherever the hell I want, and allensprisoner.com. There's no substitute for that because he owns it, unless someone went to ICANN or something, but that would be a big deal. That would be like a government would have to do that, or a lawsuit.
So Google's base of their business relies on data that they mine from us, and it relies on the fact that we're going to use their products in order to justify to their paying customers to have AdWords and banners and advertisement and all this other stuff. If people didn't use their free product, then Google wouldn't exist, and they wouldn't have, one of the largest companies on earth right now. And that's the thing. There just isn't. I don't even think it's on purpose. I just don't think that they actually think about it that way. You know what I mean?
But it's
they
not
don't
about
have,
being a paying
they
customer.
Don't have,
I don't think that
have,
matters. Like there was during the Republican debate, there was a tech story that came out that it was a Fox News debate, and Sky News in the UK was streaming it on YouTube, and I'm sure, and they're owned by News Corp. They're the same company, and an automatic, I assume, copyright strike took down the Sky News cast, and there was no 800 number for them to call, and they're a big deal. Sky News is a big deal, right? And we've all had horror stories. I've had to deal with complete morons at Google over videos. I stopped monetizing totally. I used to pay for promotion. I would generate revenue for them. I've gotten 4-figure checks from them for a month for ads.
Ooh.
And it's so you
Wait,
should.
you made $1,000 off video ads from Google?
I've made
Me
over
too.
$1,000 in a single month. I have made 10,000.
That's impressive.
But I've stopped all my. I mean, on the legacy stuff, it's monetized, but I don't. I've turned it off now because it's too much of a hassle to get questioned about the same music over and over again that I used to use.
Oh, that's annoying.
And then to go back to the same person and say, you struck me again for the same thing that I had to prove to you before, from some guy with like, a middle school education or something, making probably 80 grand a year at Google with the intelligence of my neighbor's 8-year-old.
We have a couple comments on this from YouTube.
Go ahead.
C-Man says TCs are Google's triage. I don't know if you agree with that. And Rickard Gronholm says, I just do customer service for a major tech company, and people would call and say they had found child porn and jihad apps, and not even I had someone to contact about that. But I think that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that extreme.
It's any kind of edge case, anything that's not the norm. Like I can't
We
log in.
absolutely are talking about that. Do you know how many child predators and child predator communities and stuff like that I come across on Google Plus? There's no one to contact for that, and the FBI, going to the FBI website is useless.
I can't imagine how many there are on the internet
Yeah,
at
the
large,
only
but
one
there are
now.
child predator communities on Google Plus.
Yes.
Look, Google Plus is a great way to find other people who share the same interest.
There it is. Bada bing. They'll put that on the poster. Come to Google Plus. Join one of our chat. What was it? What was the actual name of the community?
But I mean, as for the TCs being the triage, yes, in some cases that's true, and in some cases that makes sense. And like I said, for a free product, it does make sense. Part of the problem, though, is that, I look at the photos support, and in some cases, the TCs don't have any more information than the rest of us do.
Right.
And that's deliberate. You're not going to tell somebody what your product plans are.
Because they're not employees. They're users who are being exploited by the company to give free tech support in exchange for a convention once a year and maybe a hat.
Although they do tell the TC some stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah,
Sure,
I know that.
Sure, and just so you know, I mean, the top contributor, so the 12 people watching us know, that the top contributors have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and there are certain information that they can't talk about, and I understand that. But if you're a frustrated small business owner and you have a problem with your Google account and you can't actually talk to somebody on the phone or in a hangout or something and have someone help you, it's small consolation that the TC's got, a maybe answer for you. And that's a problem. And if you have a real problem, or Google does something to your account on purpose because of whatever, trolls or you misstepped or whatever, there's no recourse. You don't get any information. You did this, and that's why we closed it out. There's none of that. You don't get any information from them.
Because by nature,
for
someone, go ahead, Alan, and then let's move, because we're
in
about to
some
lose
cases,
you.
there's a reason for that. Now, the problem is, all too often, there's not a good reason for that. The reason in a lot of cases is, yes, we blocked your account because of spam, and no, we're not going to tell you why we thought you were spamming, because then you'd figure out what our algorithm is, and you'd skirt the line just enough.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of these are, like, if you're in a dispute where someone has been trolling you or whatever, and then that person is going to say that Pam's evil and she's done all these horrible things, and then you're going to say I'm an innocent victim and this person's done all these horrible things. You're asking the company to sit there and make a judgment call, which is going to take like days of reading through stuff. And sometimes that's the only way to really come at a resolution, because they don't know either of you from Adam. So I can get why they don't want to do that, because it's a free service and they could give a damn. And sorry you got caught up in this, but I'm not going to spend 2 days trying to figure this. That's the problem.
Like on Google Plus, before the TCs existed, the community managers that they had, or a community manager, was dealing with like a lot of these issues on her own, or with 2 people, or even Jonathan still gets pulled into issues, right? So.
All right, next, new search feature in collections. Alan, what's this? You're the only
This is
person
what Dan's
I know
been dying to talk about.
Alan's the only person I know who uses collections, so do tell.
I have like 10 of them.
Oh.
Dan, just because you don't understand something doesn't mean the rest of the world doesn't.
I'm just trolling you, Alan. I know there's a handful of people, a large smattering of people using collections.
My smoothies collection has 10K more people following it than follow me.
I got to ask you, is it about the drink or some other sort of smoothies? You don't have to be too specific.
No, it's the drink. I make smoothies for breakfast every morning, and I
Not
just
every
write
not
down.
every reference Pam makes is sexual.
Yeah.
I
Although
didn't know.
None of my collections are sexual because that's like why would I want to put all that shit in one place for all the trolls to go and flag it?
More important, yeah, I was going to say more importantly, that's a great way to get the collection itself banned.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of.
Well, maybe I should do a Google Plus Week collection instead of using the Flipboard. But
now we know what to use collection search for.
my Flipboard magazine has a lot of followers, though. All of them do.
Yeah,
so maybe I'll do
when was the
both.
last time you posted something on Flipboard?
I did 10 for this show.
The collection followers aren't that meaningful because they're just your followers plus whatever.
Pam, you said you had
Well,
10,000
plus
followers to your
whatever.
collection?
Well, that's because my smoothie collection is featured by Google. So it's kind of like the suggested user list for collections.
Do you think that collection count should have started from scratch?
No, well, it did. I
Well,
mean,
you can set it so that it has 0 followers and that everyone has to opt in. You can set your collection. My Pacific Road Trip collection is like that. You have to opt in to see the posts.
Alan, I'm surprised you've made yours totally locked down.
I don't think all of them are.
totally locked down.
The
They're
one
not locked down. What are you talking? Damn, what?
it says private. No, the one where
The one that I share with you and Pam?
Yeah, I'm
to Pam?
surprised. There might be some viewers who want to see it. It's
Why?
where it's your I don't
That's
know.
what the show is for.
Just to okay. All right, so
Here's how I use collect. You know, if it's something that I want to share and discuss about, I have collections that I will share that to. If it's just me saying, "Hey Dan, this is what I think is an idea for tonight's show," I just shoot it to that collection and I forget about it.
okay.
That's what collections are for.
Okay, so
If
Google,
I want to comment on it, I will comment on it.
speaking of forgetting about it, and I know you got to go in just a moment. So now the EU, I guess, is that the authority has told Google that they have to remove links to.
I can see we didn't even cover the topic like we were going to. Yeah,
I think we really
Let's talk about
thoroughly
the
covered
EU
search features on collections. But
Let's talk about the UK courts being total jackasses.
is it the
and
EU or the
ignorant
UK?
of thing.
I think it's Cozy's crowd, the Europeans. So they said
No,
that.
this is specifically a UK court.
Okay, so a UK court says Google has to remove links to stories about stories being removed from the because of the right to be forgotten thing. And I think, to be fair, as stupid as this is, because we can all joke and say like, well, now the UK is going to order that any links to this program, because we're discussing the story about removing the stories about removing links, and so on, like a mirror that's aimed at a mirror, and each week it will grow. But I think that what they said was, if someone does a search that would naturally put that story up, that's okay. If the story is, let's say that there was an article about Matthew Rappaport murdering 7 people but he was just a kid, and so he wants to be forgotten.
I was just a kid.
Right. So he wants to be forgotten about that, and so they've said that that's legit. They can take him out of there, and a story about. They're removing a story about Matthew Rappaport. If someone searched for Matthew Rappaport, they have to remove that reference to the story. But if someone did a search for, I don't know.
Here's the absurd part. Here's what's totally absurd about this.
You found an absurd part to this.
What's happening is that Google is, for example, removing from the index stories from the BBC or the Guardian. Hypothetically. I mean, this is what they're doing, but they're removing those stories from the index. They are notifying those news organizations, hey, we removed this story from the index under the right to be forgotten ruling.
And you're not going to lose X amount of money because of that.
Well, I mean, they're telling you, hey, we've had to de-index this story. Those news organizations, because they are news organizations and they report on things, have turned around and created stories saying Google has notified us that they have delisted this story, which was talking about Matthew Rappaport killing a bunch of people.
So now they have to remove that too.
So Google went and indexed that story. Now the court is saying, hey, whoa, 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 we told you to remove all stories like that. And Google is turning around and saying, hey, wait a minute. One
We
of our
did.
criteria for removing a story is that it is no longer of current interest. The fact that The Guardian has posted a brand new story means that it's current interest. What part of this don't you understand?
And now there are stories about this that will probably in the next round be taken down, right?
So you'll
because
never
they're
be
not
able to
referencing
squash.
a specific person, unless they do reference a specific person.
Right. So
In
if they
which
just
case,
said
they'll be
they did a
taken down.
search for UK government orders Google to remove links, then the stories can show up. But they can't show up if I search for Matthew Rappaport. And I remember I'm still very proud. One of my best posts was I took the Wikipedia, when this first came up, The Right to Be Forgotten, I took the Wikipedia page for Charles Manson, and I edited it to meet these specs. So it was like Charles Manson, you know, he's a guitar player in California, and he knew one of the Beach Boys, and he's currently not around. I took all the reference to the murders out, right? Okay, so that's stupid. We all agree. And if any of you, if like all you Euro people want to like tell us we're wrong, please do, and we'll read your comment trolling us.
Also, I didn't murder anybody, but if for some reason I did, I wouldn't. Shouldn't go away. But
We strive for
didn't.
realistic examples in our program.
We do.
So
I would never want to murder you, Dan. I'm not Alan.
Google Express plans to shut down its 2 delivery hubs. And the first story was that I guess the guy in charge of Express left, and the guy in charge of all of their commerce things left. And then I saw a second story where the workers had voted to unionize, but apparently that was after, they're saying it was after this decision. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was a vote to unionize that this would have been coming down the pike and they might have known. Maybe this is like when Walmart shut down, like, I don't know, half a dozen stores or whatever that were all bitching and unionizing in California or somewhere. I forget where it was. But they just closed them for like years for renovation to fix the plumbing, they said. And it was just wildly outlandish story. Any thought about, I've never used, I don't know, did they have it in New York or it was just in California? Matthew, do you know? Have you?
I think it was in New York. I don't know. I just think you're going to try to, when you try to launch something that already exists in such a wide manner that people use Google Plus, it's hard to break in, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to start a pizzeria and I'm going to kill Papa John's and Pizza Hut. You know, I'm going to sell burgers and I'm going to take some of McDonald's business, you know.
Oh, yeah, you use Amazon every day? Well, here, we're doing something. We're Google. Oh, great. Oh, we'll just
the difference, though, is I don't think Google was actually the retailer, right? They were just delivering for their resellers, whereas Amazon, as we've seen, is a ruthless, cutthroat, competitive, very successful retailer with, you know, a long, I forget how many years, 15 years?
Do any of you think someone will actually come along and take down Amazon?
No, but
Jeff
Amazon
Bezos.
just made a profit like last quarter for the first time ever. You know, I mean, delivery services in general are rife with issues, and it's very unlikely that you're going to be profitable with it. I mean, first of all, you have to have someone pack up the crap. You have to have the crap. You have to, you know, wait for FedEx, UPS, the post office, whatever, to come get your crap, and then get it to that. It's just it's high overhead.
Often,
you know? And it doesn't make any sense for Google to have done this.
Often when you come up with a new idea, the first thing you should do is say, is this a new idea? And maybe the reason no one's doing it is because it's not a good idea. It's very difficult. I mean, obviously, everybody would love everything right now. I'd love to be able to order this product and have it here in 10 minutes. But that's not a new concept. So if it were that easy to do logistically, you know, somebody would be doing it.
In New York, it makes a little bit more sense, only because they have a long history of bike couriers and delivery and stuff like that, you know, and people are willing to pay the premium not to have to go down, fight all the crowds, to go to the nearest store, which is, 4 blocks over, and blah, blah, and have that delivered, and they make the money that they're able to pay for that premium. It doesn't make sense in most places in California. Google feeds you for free. Why would you have to order in? The Mountain View, it doesn't make sense. Los Angeles, it doesn't make sense. And it, it's just not. It doesn't. I have no idea why they decided to do it in the first place. Really.
It was a test. Some tests.
Google
pass.
wants to be involved in everything, though. That's why.
Now, I did have a conversation when I went to visit Google with one of my G Plus followers who met us in the lobby, and one of the things that he did say was that Google isn't afraid to fail on a project. And that's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. If you get comfortable with their project, and you're a customer, and you like it, and then they're like, oh, doesn't work, and dump it, then you're disappointed. So it's a good thing that they're not, you're fired and blah blah. We're not going to try this because the ROI blah. So it's good that they're trying.
I'm on my way out, and I just caught that. The problem is also that Google's definition of failure may be different than everyone else's definition of failure.
That's true.
And that has some serious implications to it.
Yeah.
So projects that a small startup might be considered a smashing success, Google will consider a failure and then unceremoniously dump with no replacement
Google
whatsoever.
Reader.
Yeah.
Because everyone didn't. Most people think Google Reader was a success, or no?
I think
Yes, everyone thought Google Reader was a smashing success. But Google Reader may have been killed for other reasons.
Well, but was anyone? I mean, how many people were using it outside of journalism and tech?
Probably more people than are using Google Plus right now.
Well, I think also, I mean, yeah, Alan's right that there are different reasons why they'd shut it down. It could, like, they shut Orkut down, but as bad as, I mean, as critical as
Actually,
people
they didn't shut Orkut down. It's still alive. It's now run by Google Brazil.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I thought they were having everybody transfer all their accounts. That was not true.
I mean, it may not be true, but I read that. So anyway, I do have to go. I apologize.
All right. No problem. Good to see you.
Now my iPhone thinks I'm trying to talk to it. I'm not.
Siri. Hey, Siri.
Siri is my babe, not yours. Okay, so.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's still going. You just did it. Yeah, stop.
I know I did. That's why I did.
You just trolled all of us. Okay. So Google Express. Do you think it's the union thing? You think they tried to said? Oh my God! Stop, Siri.
What do you mean a union thing?
Well,
that's why it failed. Is that what
the
you're
workers
saying,
in the two plants? One voted to join the Teamsters, and another one, and there was some. Actually, they weren't Google employees. They were Adecco, which is a temp agency or a staffing agency. I'm not sure what the difference is.
Third party.
And they, I think one of them said that we're forced to work in medieval conditions or something, or third world conditions or something. And then Google conveniently shuts both of them down. But they say that they made the decision June 30th. Or so, I don't know. I'm guessing it might have been some connection, but that's the conspiracy theorist in me. All right, so can anyone talk on this Carter Gibson post, or was this Alan or was this you?
No, I didn't do this. But before we go to Carter Gibson, were we totally over collection searches? Because I think we didn't even talk about it. We just said it exists. It was like, hey, look, we didn't really, I don't think you even said it what it was. You just, it's fine.
I mean, I don't. If you want to talk about it.
So from your profile, right? You can click collections and supposedly search.
There's a search box, but there's also, I think you could also search just in G Plus and then click collections afterwards.
Let's
if
see.
you want to. Yeah, it's on
Let's
desktop, and I think I
see.
don't know if it's on Android yet.
Airplanes.
Airplanes. Now, I was saying to that last week. I feel like most people I know are not using collections. I mean, they might have made collections, but most people are not posting to them.
Oh yes. Okay. So yeah, Matthew's right. You can search airplanes and then click on the collections tab, and all the airplane collection.
How many airplane collections do you see?
5,
Many?
10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 30.
That's way too many airplane collections. I don't even know. If you typed SEX, I wonder how many collections would show.
What is it?
If you type
Oh.
the word sex, I believe you probably have 1,000. I have no idea.
All of Pam's except for the smoothies.
Although I think coffees I see.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot more than 30, and a lot of them violate the terms of service
I'm
right on their
sure.
front pictures.
Interesting. So I wonder if they'll do anything about that.
I don't know.
And now with the search, you've given people easier access to those collections.
That's okay. I'm going to report them.
All of them. That's kind of you.
Well, let me get a look before.
better look before they go away.
Yeah.
You better check out those
Quick,
the collections. I can't even say. Trying to put the word sex on there.
Wow.
The sections, sex.
Okay.
Are any of them creative?
Creative?
All right, so
I don't know. Anyway,
right.
I guess so. Would you use this feature just besides for that randomly? Like what would you actually use this feature for?
Well, so I'm looking to start going back to the gym, for example. So I could type in weight training or fitness or whatever, and maybe get some good information. Or maybe I have diabetes and I'm on a special diet, so I can type in diabetes food or something like that, and get collections that are relevant to my interests. And to tell you the truth, as much as I like my my communities, I think this might be a better option for a lot of interests, because some of the giant communities get very spammy very quick.
So it's basically a no spam community, a community without spam, and without other people's opinions. Well,
No, because all of these are posts, right? There's people can comment on them and everything. Yeah. These are all public posts or public collections, because otherwise they wouldn't show up.
Do you think that's more useful to you than trying to just follow that expert, whoever the person making the collection is, or?
No, but finding the interest first, and then if I like what that person's posting in that interest, I'll go to his profile and maybe circle him. That happens to me a lot. People find my collections and then say, "What the hell are you posting? I followed you for smoothies and you're posting."
Right. You're like, good night, post. The thing I would say about this, and I don't know if it's a direct result, but the last day or two, I've noticed more people following some of my collections that haven't had new followers in forever. So I don't think they were featured. I'm guessing that it was because of this new search feature, but who knows?
I get a lot to the WTF Japan.
Nice.
People just find it,
Yeah, I've used that hashtag too for some posts.
That's one of the craziest searches I've ever seen. Pam told me about that, and oh my God.
And actually, BuzzFeed just did a partnership with Yahoo Japan, so I wonder if we'll see a lot more from BuzzFeed on WTF Japan.
My all-time favorite BuzzFeed post was something like 13 things only sold in Chinese Walmarts.
I'm sure. Was like, what was number one?
I forget, but it was like, pig faces. I mean, just wild. If you Google like things only sold in Chinese Walmarts, you'll have a ball. There's several different versions of it. Uh, wow. So anyway, all right.
But
So
okay, cool. We can move on. But I was just wondering, like, this was and also the other thing too. I didn't talk with Alan about it, but I feel like that this was a feature that was not. I think they only announced it in the collections help community. There wasn't necessarily a big public post about it. So, do you have any opinion on how they announced it, or announcing it in a community versus a public G plus post?
it's self-serving. It makes sense,
All right.
don't you think?
I guess I just don't. I just like I said, I don't know how important it really is, but or how important collections are to the whole. Because I guess when collections were
It, wa-
launched,
it was announced on from the Google Plus page. New collections are now searchable yesterday at 10:21.
they reshared it, right? Okay,
Yeah, they reshared it from
the
Peter
community.
Zeng.
Okay.
So months in, Google invents search.
I guess. I guess my point is that so I just wonder how important collections are. I just thought collections were the vision of the future of Google Plus.
They typically push stuff
Yeah.
Well, I
when it's
see it.
new.
I see it shared by quite a few influential Google Plusers. Let's put it that way.
They've made me
Okay.
use stuff.
All right, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, going forward, do you think collections is going to continue to get a lot more new features?
What other new features do you want?
I don't even know. That's the thing. I don't know.
Well,
I've
pages
asked for things to be
pages
more
were
social.
pages were a hit, right? In Google Plus terms,
were they?
right? Not compared to Facebook, but in Google Plus terms, communities and pages have lasted and grown, right?
I
Within the
guess. I don't know.
ecosystem. So whether collections do or not, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure what need they meet that wasn't met. But maybe that's me.
Right. Like I've done things where I'll go through 100 posts and I'll count in my stream how many of those 100 posts are collections. And usually out of 100 in my stream, it's somewhere between 10 and 15 are
What
from.
need is met by a collection that couldn't be met by a page? Pam's smoothie page. I don't understand. I'm not dissing
Well, this
either.
way,
I'm just asking. I don't understand.
well, I guess because when you following collections, a collection doesn't count towards your circles, whereas a page would count against your circles.
Um,
Something like that.
when I post, it's not a page. It's not a separate page, Dan. When someone clicks on my collections, it just pulls all the posts that I have sorted into that collection together and shows them all to you at once, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It's not a separate identity. It's a sub. It's a
Right.
one of the rooms in your house that is your profile.
Yeah. And so in that way, it's a little bit different. Like my jewelry page, if I shared something to my jewelry page, it's not going to show up in people's stream unless they follow the. I guess it's the same with the collection. If people unfollow the collection.
So I could see if I was into Pam and I'm checking you out and you have a variety of very different interests, I could be stalking your profile and then see a smoothie thing or jewelry and say, well, that's neat. And then I see another one. It's like, oh, I see she shared this and this thing. And then I can filter your profile, your stream based on that topic.
I think for me, one of the best features of collections is that I can unfollow a collection without unfollowing the person. I can also follow a collection without following the person. I find that helpful, useful for me because I already have been here for 4 years. I already have a group and all that stuff. But if I want to follow another interest and the guy's a, right-wing wingnut, but he makes fantastic cupcakes then I can just follow his cupcakes collection without following his right-wing wingnutness. You know what I mean?
If you did find that example, I'd love to know more about it off air. But that's kind of fascinating.
Okay, let me
But-
go ahead.
I'm just saying that's for me, that's what collections are kind of about. But yeah, your question is intriguing. I don't know if I have a really good answer for that.
Okay, Alan shared that we may hold off on this. The followers versus engagement rate. I think Carter Gibson's post. Was that from you?
Yeah,
Pam?
I just read that before. I read that before we came on air. So it wasn't from me, but I saw it. I didn't even know he was still posting.
Did you see it, Pam? We may want to wait for Alan.
No, I saw it, and I just asked him if that was a general topic or if it was a Google topic, because I don't think Carter is a Google employee, and so he's talking about suggested user lists and how he's a community manager and all that stuff. But I don't think it's for Google. I think he's a community manager for another company. But he is talking about
his experience,
engagement rates. I don't know how much the average user really gives a flying rats. I mean, I really don't think that Kim Kardashian really cares. How
I think most people,
what percentage of her.
if they share something, I think most people, if they share something, on Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, and it gets, a bunch of people retweet it or reshare it or whatever or like it, and it becomes a thing, that's exciting. Who wouldn't want that? But what he was saying was that your shitty engagement rate isn't that much different than what the celebrities and other people have if you adjust for their larger following. Because I know Matthew and I both have a large number of followers.
I feel like this is a
Plus,
topic we've definitely talked about before on the show.
Yeah, very low. Yeah. The percentage is very low.
So if you look at a ratio between followers and views, that can give you an indication of how much influence you might have or reach or whatever. I have 37K followers and 26 million views. So that's a pretty good ratio. And the only Google product I use is Google Plus, and no one looks at my YouTube.
I will say the views.
But
I was going to say that the views make up for the other sites don't necessarily have that, and I think the views give you a bigger picture of a bigger percentage than if you just looked at likes, plus ones, and comments and shares.
Yeah, I mean, some of my posts I'll post when I know there's a lot of people or whatever, and I get 1+ and no comments. That just means that people aren't interested in that particular post, and I don't know if it's really indicative. It doesn't really matter for the average user. It would be a marketing or business or SEO or some kind of someone who's looking for influence, reach, that kind of thing. I think that they care more about that than like I do.
Well, if you're going to adjust for your users, engagement is a lot. And not everyone's going to adjust for the users. People are going to do whatever they want, but some people are going, try and adjust for users, and the follower count mean anything to them. Regardless if it's one follower or a billion followers, engagement is what you'd have to look at, right?
I didn't realize Anthony was here. Hey, Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, engagement means different things too. I mean, what's my goal? My goal is to actually have a conversation. I post outrageous stuff, just to have a topic to debate, or I'll post something because I'm interested in what they have to say about something. If I was a business and I was looking for eyes on the page as an indication of how useful a certain platform is, then that's a different story. But I don't think like Coca-Cola is looking for conversations about Ashley Madison. You know what I mean? I just don't think that there's not, social means something different to different people, you know?
Right, like a company like Coca-Cola, they're just trying to product out there in a probably correct way, whereas other companies like my local radio station, when they post to social media, they'll post about absolutely anything because they don't necessarily care about whether the content is correct or not, because um, listeners are the listeners regardless whether talk about Ashley Madison or they want to talk about something like I don't know, a theme park, something not more politically correct.
Yeah.
You mean like Banksy's theme park? Is that what?
But
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Banksy has an art exhibit.
it's really
But I was
good.
gonna say real quick.
Go ahead, and
The
then I want to do
Banksy
some
thing.
comments. Go ahead,
No.
Matthew.
Yeah. Real quick. The one thing I would say is followers versus engagement. Yes, most people are passive. They're not gonna engage. You're lucky if they engage. That's why the view count is interesting because at least you're like, oh well, like at all these views, they might not all engage. But for me personally, when it comes to social networking, every social network has their own strengths. But I think it's hard if you use all the networks to some degree. I think most people, I've seen people say it on Twitter, even if they've called Google Plus dead or Ghost Town, even they will say they get more of a conversation and more engagement on Google Plus than they do on Facebook or Twitter, even if they don't use Google Plus as much. And I think that's definitely true. And I think that often goes overlooked when talking about Google Plus is that most people, if they are posting regularly, they're going to get more engagement overall than most of their tweets or Facebook posts. I don't know if you guys agree, but
Yeah, I agree.
so.
Okay, let me do some comments here. From we've woken up Cybernaut. I see. To call Google a single entity implies all the pieces of the company operate as one. This is not evident upon even the most cursory examination. This is in response to George Cozy's comment about Google Opolis or whatever. Cyclops. I think the narrative still isn't that far off, but that's why they have to put the adults in another room. That said, from Alan Furstenberg, they're not a startup. I've been realizing that more and more the past few weeks. They're just not that fast, and they're very lumbering. Interesting word. Alan, things have changed, says George Cozy. I used to embrace every single thing that came out of the Goog a few years ago. Google was our thing now. I always stop and question the new stuff. I may be paranoid, but I get the feeling of an agenda being behind everything. It's about trust, because Google feels like them these days. Sai says you can't manage that which is non-existent. Alan says, I never embraced everything out of Google, but Google has done themselves a huge disservice with how they've handled Reader and Photos, and that has wide-ranging implications. They never explained the Reader thing, to my satisfaction anyway, why they dumped it.
I think most people assumed, whether it was right or wrong, was that it's because they wanted because Google Plus, they wanted to take over that. That's only a guess. That was a theory. They wanted people to use Google Plus to get their news, not Reader.
When I was talking about,
sense.
I was talking about the right to be forgotten. George Cozy says, Dan McDermott, I don't say you guys are wrong, but we aren't wrong either about the right to be forgotten. This is a thing that has to be dealt with. At the moment, the only party that tries to do that is the EU. Google doesn't want to touch this as if the problem doesn't exist. For some people, the problem does exist. We forget some minor personal things for a reason. It allows us to move on. The public internet took that away. I hear you, but you're advocating censoring things. But I get what you're saying. It used to be like the internet, a newspaper would print something about a crime, and that paper would eventually fade and rot and be thrown away. And then 20 years ago, you could get a job and only the locals knew, right? In fact, in Virginia, there's the governor, and it's a thing in the U.S. to not put on job applications the question, have you been convicted of a felony? And as an employer, I would say I absolutely want to know if you robbed a bank before I put you in payroll, right? Um, but if you're trying to get a job and maybe as a 17-year or 18-year-old you wrote a bad check for $250 and you're a felon for the rest of your life, maybe I don't know. I don't know how you. In the end, it is censoring facts. Sai says Google embraces DevOps philosophies. Embracing failure is a huge part of that. Many times you can learn more from a good failure than from a success. Pam, search for helicopter collections, he suggests. And Sai says report equals subscribe. What does he mean by there? Does it count toward your 5,000? What does he mean there?
No, the
No,
collections don't.
he means that when I said I was reporting all the sex communities, that I was actually subscribing to them.
Oh, okay. He was trolling
He
you.
was making a joke,
Yeah.
or not, or maybe he was right. Just kidding.
You guys will never know.
Indeed. Because nothing. Pam's
You
computer
know, the one
is
thing
definitely
not
locked
to
down.
switch. Do you think? Are there actual collections that you're getting notifications about, like you do communities or people? You can. I don't know if anyone's using that.
I'm not getting notified for any people that I follow except two.
I get notifications when Alan posts in the internal one for this show, but not for every post. If he posts several things, I get one notification for the most recent, although that is information
That
as
was
of
a
a
bug,
couple
right?
weeks ago. I don't know if it's a bug.
You
I don't
said
know
they
if it's
fixed that.
fixed or not. It may be fixed now because I think I got several. I think I got 2 or 3 at a time today. Okay, so Ashley Madison. I don't know where to begin on this other than I got the Duggar family in the news again.
No website is safe from hackers. That's what it continues.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, was it Eric Schmidt who said, "Well, if you don't want your stuff to be revealed, don't do it."
Easier said than done, though. No?
Yeah. So
In the world.
anyway, so I see that the first celebrity was it Josh Duggar, one of the kids in this family with 19 kids or whatever, or kids and grandkids, whatever it is, and he was judging everyone on moral issues, and he was whoring around on his wife the whole time, and raping his sisters, and putting himself out as this sort of spokesman for the religious right and the moral police.
Isn't this the story we've seen in America over and over again with politicians that are
Yes.
that are against? Yeah.
But we get to bring it up because it has a tech angle. So
Yay.
this is, I think, 30 million accounts worldwide, and then apparently most of them were men, and there were some bots. What are your Pam? What do you think about this? Do you have any thoughts on this? This whole, which is only beginning to be, and now I saw the latest is I see that they're doing takedowns on copyright grounds because it's their data, and they've done takedowns requests with Twitter and other people who are linking to results or putting, I guess, these websites where you can type your email address. And I tried mine, but I'm not in there because I haven't used them. I didn't even know that Ashley Madison exists. I guess Adult Friend Finder, I'd heard of them, and I went to that site years and years ago because a friend of mine, I forget, but I've never been married, so I mean,
But Ashley Madison is purely for married people to cheat on each other.
What's the difference between that and Adult Friend Finder?
No, it's Ashley Madison is also if you're in a long-term monogamous relationship, you can. It's that too. It's not just.
Oh, but if somebody being
marriage.
involved in a relationship and getting involved with someone else, that's
Yeah,
in a relationship.
it's a cheating site.
But cheating with other cheaters, not with.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pam, you could not come up with a less. You could not come up with a less sympathetic set of class of victims, right, Pam?
I mean, whatever.
I think.
Are you on it? I guess I should preface
No.
my question.
No. No. First of all, I would. Yeah, I'm not interested in that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter whether I am or not.
It's a gray area.
It really, really pisses me off that hackers can get the data, and China and Russia and these black hat groups and hacker groups can I can't change my social security number, and that's already been compromised. What am I going to do now? I have to spend the rest of my life monitoring all my stuff. I've had to change credit cards, and it's a big hassle to do that, and there's really no the United States government is just sorely out of their element when it comes to dealing with this, and these companies, they're not taking this seriously. How do they get this information? Most of them have employees giving some guy on the phone this information. There's just people don't think. I'm looking at it strictly from a tech point of view, a web cybersecurity point of view. This freaking sucks that these hackers can do this at basically will.
Well, look what they did to Sony.
Forget the morality part of it. That's not even well, of course, for salaciousness and drama and all this other, something for the hypocritical religious right to beat their chests about, I guess it's important. But, the truth is, I don't feel sorry for Josh Duggar.
No, I
but
don't.
at the same time, I don't think that he should have, I don't think that it should have been possible to hack these sites.
Right. And I have to imagine there are people that have signed up for the site that haven't actually used it to cheat specifically. They might have thought about it or browsed, but I don't really know.
Now, Anthony, what are your thoughts, and how are you coping that you've been ID'd as an Ashley Madison paying
His lifestyle.
subscriber?
Wait, I had to pay for this site?
Yeah, it's not free.
They must offer a free demo, I'm guessing. Or not.
I don't understand why. Standing this entire site.
Also, signing up for a website and paying a fee for it, isn't that if you don't want to get caught cheating? I don't know. That just seems.
Yeah, this Duggar moron, he did it until May. He was paying until May.
There's that you can pay with credit cards without actually using your own credit card. I mean, legally.
Yeah, but
buy
these
one of those
people
preloaded credit cards in the grocery store.
These
But
guys
do you
don't know.
think-
I mean, they're not driving to Starbucks with a burner phone and using a they're not on that level.
Mhm.
This is not
But do you-
high crimes and misdemeanors.
But it's not like that married people just wanted to cheat. They specifically wanted to cheat with other married people. It's some kind of.
Yeah, why would you want to cheat with a cheater? That just
It's
begs for issues, doesn't
maybe
it?
it makes you feel less guilty. But maybe it's some kind of fantasy for them? I don't really know.
I would not be at all surprised if there were multiple suicides as a result of this.
Wow, I don't know. That's a little bit.
30 million accounts leaked?
Sure.
What if someone was looking for other men, or a woman looking for other women? You know what I mean? She's got 3
Why?
kids,
Oh,
and the
it-
kids
does it
find
re-
out on CNN, right?
It released all the details of everything they've done, or just that they were
What their yeah. if
Well,
you
I mean,
look
isn't
up
it-
what topics Josh was into being taught and all these different things,
I mean, I bet you between 95 and 90 of these accounts, no one's ever gonna, know about other than maybe beyond the person that was compromised. I bet you 95 to 99% of the accounts no one's gonna care to look up and find out about.
Your
Yeah,
wife
I think
might.
that-
I bet you every single divorce lawyer in the
Is
United
looking.
States has downloaded the entire list.
Wow.
Okay, maybe.
I really hope they're not making phone calls.
Well, yeah, that's the next step. Only the shyster, only the
Only,
unethical ones, right?
only Saul Goodman. What? I saw Google had this top questions on Ashley Madison in the last 24 hours. What is it? Ashley Madison was number 1. 2 was what is the dark web? 3 is who is Ashley Madison? 4 is where can I find Ashley Madison data, which is understandable. And 5, how do I access the dark web? So that's interesting. They're bringing up the dark web, that Ashley Madison is part of this dark web, this hidden black market, black web that people don't know exists or don't want to
Yeah,
know
but it
exists.
does. But it does exist.
No, it
It
does.
absolutely does exist.
Well, I mean, like, if a month ago, I don't know when specifically this was hacked and that became news. I think it was a little bit ago. Searched on Google for dating cheating site. Would that have that would have came up? You know, Ashley Madison would have came up. Would it have?
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't really know any
Sure.
other cheating site.
Oh,
I mean, like-
yeah.
I mean, like
Pam is
There's
awake.
a lot.
If I
I
search
just
for-
don't know what they are.
Well, I think I think back to what Eric Schmidt said. You know, if you don't want it to come out, don't do it. I think if everybody said everything you do on the internet, it may not be like a hangout on air or a public Skype call or something, but you should treat it as
Okay.
something close to that, because if just like a celebrity, basically everyone's a potential celebrity on the internet, and if you don't want it to be on the front of the New York Times, they used to say, don't do it, don't say it.
So,
And-
do you want to know the top adult dating sites for people looking to have an affair?
Sure.
Sure.
Ashley Madison, EasySex.com, Fuck Swipe, Fuck Dates, Affair Hub, Snap Sext, Sex Messenger, Fuck Book, Adult
Okay.
Friend Finder, Affairorama, Sugar Daddy Direct.
Affair Rama.
This is like the scene in Clerks where he reads all the porn titles to them.
But yeah, but
Victoria
even
Milan. It goes on and on. No strings attached. LatinAmericanCupid.com.
and the last thing I want
Match.com.
the last thing I want to say on this is that this is a public thing, right? Like the Sony hack and these stuff. But really, there's a lot that goes on that's not public. And I think that Secretary John Kerry was in a congressional hearing, and they said, "Do you think that your email is being looked at?" And of course, this is in the news with his predecessor, Hillary Clinton's email server.
Dan, you're the king of segue, Dan.
A lot of this is not released afterward, right? But you should assume. I remember my parents, worked for the U.S. government, and in Moscow, you assume every room in your house is bugged. You assume that the Russia. I mean, but back in the Soviet days, right? I'm older than Matthew, but in the Soviet days, you assumed that every room in your house is bugged. And in the embassy, I swear to God, in the embassy, the U.S. embassy, they actually had rooms set up so you and your wife could go in there and have an argument without being bugged. They actually had privacy rooms so that if Pam and I want to have a knockdown drag out about the bills or whatever it is, how we're raising the kid, or are you seeing so and so, then there were special rooms you could go in with your spouse. And I'm using an example. Pam and I are actually not married. But I do bear a startling resemblance to her husband, which is weird. But like there are special rooms for that, and they're
Same height. You guys are the same height.
there you go. Yeah, short is the height. That's the scientific term. But anyway, so yeah. Okay, next is Hillary Clinton email scandal. Ends Denver IT firm's quiet life. Now, I don't know, some of this may be posturing, but apparently they've hired a PR spokesperson. And, I mean, I guess anyone who watches this program would know that there's a scandal, because we talked about it before, with Hillary Clinton's email server. And it was just interesting, this IT firm says they had no idea. Again, this is what they say, right? They said they had no idea that they said they won the contract, so I guess they put it out for bid, and they won the contract to do the Clinton's email server, and it was what, clintonemail.com or something like that, so it wasn't a secret. And they said they had no idea that this was being used for any kind of official stuff. They just assumed it was like, Bill talking to Chelsea about what time, to be at the party for the kid or whatever it is, right? And so now, of course, the company's not anonymous, although its name escapes me. But I don't know. Any thoughts at all on that whole thing? Because it kind of, like I said, the Sony hack was revealed. This was revealed. Go ahead, Anthony.
So without getting political, why is anyone sending confidential material through? I mean, am I the only one thinking that? I mean, I don't care if you're using, the White House ultra system. With all these places that get hacked, like
there are things. I mean, there are different levels of security.
Target. Why are you sending?
Anthony, there are different
levels. But I mean, if you don't want,
go ahead. I'm sorry. You're breaking
sure,
a little bit. Well, I was going to say there's different levels of security. Like one of the emails in question here was they were discussing a threat in Benghazi and whether they were going to withdraw the U.S. personnel there, but they didn't want to because they wanted eyes on the ground because you have so little intelligence otherwise. And in there, they were discussing specific plans to evacuate personnel. So they're saying that was classified because the minute it's uttered, well, let's get them out the back door and let's get the helicopter come in here, that would be classified. Obviously, you wouldn't want to say that on Sunday morning news shows where the terrorists might be listening, so that would be considered classified. And then there's also other stuff, like I'm on the White House list, so I get stuff like it'll say this is not for broadcast, and it'll be the itinerary for the president, exactly what time he's leaving for whatever trip or that sort of thing. And we don't broadcast that. It's not illegal to do it, but you'd probably get off the list. And it's just, for security reasons, it's not a good idea. So there's different levels of things that they don't want the public to know. There are calls that I get, and they'll say this is embargoed. I remember before the bankruptcy of GM, I was on the phone with the treasurer, with Geithner, with Larry Summers, and me and a bunch of other reporters, and it was a call explaining what they were going to do the next morning. And there are things like that. There's all kinds of like classified stuff, but that's not classified. But you could argue that the president's itinerary for security reasons is. This kind of thing would be the moment it's uttered. It's just complicated, and I agree with you. Why the hell they would? But some of the emails it could have been innocent because she was like asking people like how the fax machine works and stuff. There was not a high level of technical skill exhibited by former Secretary Clinton in some of these emails. Definitely, a noob at this stuff. So maybe they didn't think anything about it, but I don't know. There's two ways to look at it depending on what your agenda is, and we'll see because now the FBI has it, and if I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to cast any kind of political judgment. I definitely think that she is not technically skilled.
To sort of answer Anthony's questions, there's, 3 or 4 different forms of communication that you could possibly pick if you are a top-level government official. You can have a secure phone line. You could have a secure cell. You could have a satellite phone. You can have email, and you can write something down and have it delivered. I mean, that's pretty much the only way. And all of those things have pitfalls. And, email is convenient. And it's also supposedly encrypted. And I don't know. I don't know enough about cybersecurity to know how easy it is to hack government servers It's been done, but I don't know how easy it was to do it. And so I don't know how they rate the security of those emails, but I can pretty much guarantee you that whatever the highest amount of encryption you can get, they have it. But there is no completely safe form of communication. Even face to face has its problems,
Yeah, that's how
So
they got
I
Al Capone. They had, they wired the little apartment below his apartment where he would have secret meetings. They had a bug in there. There's no secret. I mean,
privacy's dead, everyone.
yeah.
It's gone.
If it leaves your mind in any way, it's for now that's safe, I guess. I want to skip the next two things until Alan, either till next time if Alan doesn't get back in time. But
Other Alan topics. I almost cut you off into going to one. All right.
Jeff Bezos responds to the New York Times story. He says it doesn't represent the Amazon he leads. This was a brutal takedown, but not really, because if you're gonna, some people run a slave ship and they pay really well and they are very demanding. And things like firing the bottom 10%, I mean, that's the thing that Jack Welch was doing decades ago at GE.
Wasn't Elon
Yep.
Musk just accused of this too recently?
I mean, these are guys at the
Tesla?
top of their game. Yeah, I mean, that's the deal. And you can choose whether or not to work at Amazon. There are plenty of jobs for engineers other than Amazon in, what are they, in Seattle or Kirkland or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of places for engineers to work. The tech companies are begging for more visas to get more people because they can't find enough local people to do it. So it's not like anyone is forced at gunpoint to work at Amazon. They're paid very well at all these companies. And so, but some of these anecdotes were just off the chain. Like there was, some of them are not paid particularly well, like at the warehouses where I think it's, I forget the company's name. They were in the lawsuit about security checkpoints taking up to 45 minutes off the clock to leave. And the Supreme Court actually held that that was fine.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't like most of this already known? I mean, I don't understand
Some of
why.
this, yeah, it was a collection of anecdotes gathered from various places, some first person and some from stories. My favorite was at a warehouse where it was over 100 degrees, and they said that it was so hot that they brought ambulances in and they had new employees ready to go, and that as employees would drop from the heat, the ambulance would take them away and they would bring a new person in to keep the stuff going. And then after the local paper ran the story, they installed air conditioning in the warehouse. Now that's the version presented. I mean, but that's the most like wild story. But in
Yes, because
Bezos,
you've got to realize that they probably have crayons there and wax candles and other things in that warehouse that would completely melt if it was really that hot in the warehouse.
yeah, but in Bezos's response, there's not a denial of any of those stories, right? It's a non-denial denial. He says that's not the Amazon that I know. But he doesn't deny any of the stories. Like, no, it really wasn't that hot, or this didn't happen, or this person wasn't fired because she went on maternity leave.
Why would you want to do that?
Why would you want to do what? Deny something that's
Deny.
not true?
That's right. No, just deny it. Anything. If you want to believe that, go for it.
I mean, if he wrote the post to defend his company, if there was some hole he could poke in the New York Times story, don't you think he would have poked it in his post to defend himself against the New York Times story? That's classic defense.
So you think he's going to go point by point and
No, you just have to find a couple things that are blatantly wrong and just highlight those. This is politics 101. Pam, you could give
If you have like 20,
huh?
if you have like 20, and then you 18 of them, then you two. Now all of a sudden, pretty much,
Man,
anything
I
you
swear
don't
to
deny,
God,
you're confirming the other stuff.
you sound like the King of the Hill character. Your Wi-Fi is so bad. We kind of can't make out what you're saying. We can catch like every few words, Anthony.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if this is any better. Is it better?
Yep.
All I'm saying is, if you start poking holes in, 18 of 20 issues or whatever, and you're pretty much confirming the two issues, and you're just like Pam, I think, is kind of suggesting,
Hmm.
um,
Well,
you're
okay,
just creating
yeah,
more issues for yourself.
but I
That's
think,
right.
but there's a way to do it. Like politicians will do this. Um,
But
they'll
he's not a politician. He owns a company,
no joke.
right? And
Yeah,
and where are the lawsuits?
yeah. This
Right?
is my thinking. Yeah, it's probably a tough place to work. They're um, really good at what they do in a very
And
competitive marketplace, and all those people are there voluntarily. It's not North Korea where you're forced to work there. If they don't like it, they
that's
can
right.
quit or file a lawsuit or whatever.
Exactly. And you know, all right. I was gonna make. I was gonna totally make a comment about the current generation of workers, but I won't. There are a lot of things um, that working at Amazon, if you work in the distribution warehouses and stuff like that, they search your ass when you go in, and they search your ass when you leave, and
Literally,
you know, yes.
not figuratively.
I mean, and there are a lot of um, necessary, probably, things that they do for security reasons and stuff like that that piss a lot of people off, and that doesn't surprise me. But if they were not giving breaks, and they were not, allowing employees to leave if they were sick, and all this other stuff, then there should be lawsuits, right? I mean, the ACLU would be all over that for free. You
And
don't
I'm
even have
sure
to
there
pay
are
for it.
some lawsuits. We're just not, aware. I mean, they're not on the tip of our tongue. But yeah, I think. I mean, it was probably accurate. Uh, it was probably an accurate collection of anecdotes, and whether that is the overall, um, a fair reflection of overall opinion of the employees there. If it were that bad, I don't know how they would retain people. You know, in the end, because there are other places they could work. But I think if you are in a very successful company in an extremely competitive, rapidly changing marketplace, your boss might be a dick. Maybe that's why you're doing so well. Um, if you want to be in the cutting edge of something, it's not easy to win. Winning's hard. So, okay. Alan said 10:30 to 11. I'm guessing maybe do we want to cash in on chips, or what do we want to do? Why don't we do? Let me look for some comments real quick.
That's a good idea.
Size always good. The dark web exists. I got to minimize this awful Hangout thing that I can't move. The dark web exists. AM is not really part of it. Um, it's not. It's not that companies don't take it seriously. I guess we're talking about hacking. It's that they don't hire and support proper security professionals, and they might not know. Maybe they think they are, but they're not. Maybe they got sold a bill of goods by some incompetent company. And of course, the hackers, you plug one hole and they find another one, right? Every new WordPress version is, God knows what vulnerabilities might be there. The hilarious thing everyone misses is the fact that AM charges $20 to actually Madison charges $20 to actually delete your account information, and then they didn't actually delete it. That is one of the things the hackers said, that because they were charging people a $20 fee to permanently delete your thing forever, and then they didn't. That's one of the reasons they released the information. They also said they had to go out of business, which they didn't do. But there is a disclaimer, apparently, that in the fine print when you sign up or pay them or whatever, that they cannot guarantee the privacy of your information. So they may be lawsuit proof, although I doubt it. I think, but again, they're not a sympathetic group of victims. So all you need is one piss off spouse and a jury to say, damn the law. I'm not going to vote for these people. I'm going to punish this company that allowed my husband or wife to cheat on me. Pam Adger, how was your Google Plus week?
It was interesting.
All right.
I got trolled by a bunch of top contributors who took offense to my criticisms.
Was it an intelligent, fair conversation, or was it
No.
FU, or what was it?
Oh yeah, no. It degenerated. And I contributed to that degeneration, I'm going to fully admit. Other than that, it was a pretty good week. We signed loan docs to refi the house, and probably going to be buying a car in the next few weeks because our stupid Pontiac is. I'm not putting one more cent into it. So, other than that, that's. Oh, my kids got called back to work. They were laid off for a few weeks, and they got called back to work, and this was their first week back, and I get to hear them bitch about it. They much prefer laying around on the couch, emailing their applications to different companies than actually working. But you know, so would I. So that's about it.
I love America, but you can't beat a Toyota or Honda for your Pontiac
Yep,
woes.
yep. I think our next car is gonna be a Toyota Camry.
Probably do well. Anthony has left us. Matthew, are you available? Or are you sipping coffee? It looks like he's sipping coffee or something. Sniffing
Yeah,
an
it's
index
Starbucks.
card.
Starbucks.
My week was good. We got the paper out a day late. We had an issue with a couple ads, so we had to wait 24 hours. But first, let's hear from Matthew. Well, I'll just tell you that. Okay, my week was good.
I didn't realize you were ending the show. Is this the earliest you've ever ended the show in your life?
No, he's reformatted it. We got tired of sitting here for 4 hours. And
It's 2.5 hours into the show. This isn't early.
Yeah.
But I'll finish mine, then you can do yours, Matthew.
Yeah, please. I don't have much.
I don't know if did I talk about the mouse in the truck last week? I don't think it's been a week. Yeah,
you have a truck?
No, the
You have a
kid,
mouse?
he's got a Toyota 4Runner. And
You got the kid a truck?
my mom gave it to him. Go, Mom.
Awesome.
She gave me a Honda, which was nice.
So you don't have your Taurus anymore?
I still have that. It's nice to have rich parents. They give you stuff. So
Do you have
anyway,
rich parents? I'm jealous.
anyways, so the kid,
Can I buy me a
he got his
newspaper?
driver's license, and so he passed the test. He got his driver's license, and he hadn't sunk in yet. I said it'll sink in. I said you'll drive some random places just because you can. And so he's in his truck. He's going to his friend's house where he's house sitting for a week. So it's the first time he's ever driven by himself in his life. He's in the car, just got a brand new, like leaving the DMV to my house to get the car and then go to this other house. He's in the car for the first time ever. He's nervous, and there's a mouse in the vehicle. And a mouse is scurrying on the floorboard while he's on the highway driving for the first time by himself ever. And I was like, oh my God. But he didn't poop his pants or anything serious, right? He was fine because he used to have mice as pets. But can you imagine? It was running on the floorboard on the passenger side or something. And so I looked for Toyota 4Runner mouse in Google, and I got, I think, 225,000 results. So he's not alone. Apparently that's a thing that mice will get in this vehicle. But if anyone has any advice on how to
Of Mice and Dan.
prevent the of mice and Dan, to prevent the mouse from re-entering. Matthew Rappaport, how was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was great. It's summer, so I had some time, spent a lot of time with family, seeing some family, and went to the Bronx Zoo. I was in the Bronx Zoo today with some nephews, which was great, which was a lot of fun. If you come to New York, a lot of people don't get up to the Bronx except to see a Yankees game, so the zoo is nice. I and played skee ball. There's not much tech-wise that happened. I mean, collection search, there's not much of that going on. News media is news media. Yeah, nothing major. Just trying to get through summer. Can you believe it's already summer's almost over, or at least August is almost over? Halloween stuff is probably already on the shelves. Scary. Very scary. But I guess that's
And Costco Christmas stuff is going up.
Christmas. It's already up, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, is it cheaper to buy it now then? Do you think it's cheaper now?
If you're talking Costco, it's not cheaper. It's just available.
All right.
So they sell out pretty quick with
Cool.
their Christmas stuff.
Dan, get your Christmas lights now, before you buy anything for Halloween. Would be nice. But that was it. Not too much. And I'm excited that your show keeps going on. And actually, I'm looking forward to. I still haven't. I don't know when Facebook Live will get to everyone, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that. And with really, my focus is live streaming, live video streaming. I really want to see what's going to happen in that space. And like I said,
all the coffee.
It's where the audience is going to be. And Facebook right now, if any of us broadcast on Facebook, I feel like you would get a bigger audience than anywhere else. So that's what I think.
Okay.
Oh,
but Dan,
I'm sorry.
Dan, how was your week? Did you finish your week with
did.
just Mouse? And what about Alan? Is he here?
No, he's supposed to be back. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and close, and then we'll hit the two topics. How Google Plus could rig the 2016 election is one theory, and then make your own TSA universal luggage keys. We'll hit those next week.
Here's an idea before you wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
You could, I don't know if you make highlights of these shows, or maybe you just want to. I know you do the timestamps. If you want to do a Meerkat or Periscope that's literally a few minutes and just jump around to those things and say, here's my name is Dan McDermott. Here's a highlight of Google Plus Week or whatever, and literally film the Periscope or Meerkat or both the highlights, and so people can see it. I think that would be an interesting idea to take 5 minutes to do that before next week.
It would delete after 24 hours, right?
Not if you use Catch, no.
I'll have to mull that over. It sounds like a time-sucking hole.
All right, just an idea.
We always appreciate those.
Life is a time-sucking hole. Just an idea.
Indeed. Hey, thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. Google Plus Week is every Friday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on Google Plus YouTube Live. So thank you. Oops, wrong button. Thank you all for watching. And until next week, have an awesome Google Plus Week.
I like the look.